Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this stream down below. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell if you're subbed. And we have a lot to get to tonight, and I am high energy. I'm looking forward to this stream. And I didn't want to have to ever do this stream for obvious reasons, but nevertheless, here we are. And things are heating up. We have a lot of tensions within the party that are heating up because somebody is so gassed up by a lot of stupid people into running for president of the United States of America. Total unnecessary division at the hands of the establishment, by the way, to try and get in this race, to try and do everything they can do to waste $100, $200, $300, $400, $500 million trying to end Donald Trump once and for all in the Republican Party. And you know what? It's not going to work. Somebody made a very big mistake. I didn't want to have to do this to you, Ron. Didn't want to have to do this to you, buddy. But you know what? We're here, and that means we have to do this. And this stream, we're going to be talking quite a bit about none other than Ron DeSantis and his idiotic decision to run for president of the United States. Not only that, the way he announced it, which was the worst way possible. I mean, you're 35 points behind. You have zero path to victory for all intents and purposes. The only reason why Trump's not at 60 right now is because of that one Marquette poll that came out. In the March poll, that poll had Trump only up by 5. It has Trump up by like 30 now. And that's the outlier. That's weighing down the average. That is how badly Donald Trump is beating up on Ron DeSantis right now in the Republican primary that they have to look to that poll to cope. Oh, the head-to-head's only a 4-point difference. Like, that's margin of error. Okay, first of all, that's like one outlier poll. And even then, they had DeSantis up by nearly like 32 points in March or February. And ever since then, the energy shifted. That's with DeSantis spending millions of dollars on ads on not just like my channel, but in Iowa. You have his shadow campaign. Now he's showing his face. He's crawling out of the basement, unlike what Joe Biden did, actually exactly what Joe Biden did during his presidential run. At the very end, peeks out of the basement. And honestly, for Ron DeSantis, this is the beginning of the end of his career. I know I'm going to get people in the live chat. We're going to be debating people, hopefully, on the next live stream, because I want to get to the people, because I think there may be some people with good intentions out there. But if you look at the way that the DeSantis campaign is being run, the people in his corner, these people are not acting in good faith by and large. There are some that might be, but a lot of these people, their only conviction that they hold is we got to get rid of Trump and defend literally everything that Ron DeSantis has ever said or done, while we look at Donald Trump and we trash everything that he's ever said or done. Not to mention the fact that these people said literally nothing negatively about Donald Trump throughout his entire presidency. Yet they're the same ones that are sitting back here calling me, calling you, calling everybody that happens to not be wavering in their support of Trump a grifter. Despite them literally grifting, we saw tweets today. We could pull up the tweets from, I believe it was John Cardillo or whatever his name is, some irrelevant guy that has a lot of followers, but he's still not relevant because nobody knows who the hell he is, was tweeting the same talking points we use, but even then taking it like a step further, a-logging, trashing Ron DeSantis back in 2020, saying he's not a Trump ally. He's an establishment guy that Trump had to step in and save his campaign. And then he hired all these Marco Rubio and Charlie Crist people, which is technically to a large extent true. This guy now, every single tweet from him was somebody, who goes out there and trashes Trump and praises every little thing DeSantis does. So he flipped on a dime, mainly more than a dime, obviously. He flipped on a lot of money. But that's who's supporting Ron DeSantis. It's not a real support base, folks. These are bought and paid for people, by and large. A lot of them were in the Trump camp before. Many of them were in the Bush camp before and the Cruz camp before, and they're just pivoting back to that original standpoint because they buy the lies about, Trump is not eluctable. And then they attack Trump from the right and the left simultaneously, thinking that it's going to work somehow. Did it work in 2016? No. Did it? I mean, it didn't really matter in 2020, but it's not going to work in 2024. 2024 has more 2016 energy than 2020 did. Not even close. And obviously, it's not 2016. You're right. It's 2024. You have a more skilled Trump. You have a more measured Trump now than even then. And on policy, he is back to his original messaging, but he's applying it to the issues that matter in the modern day. And as a result, he's winning. He's winning big in the primary. He's winning big in the polls against Biden. Like I said, I'm not going to jump the gun and do these 400 electoral vote landslide videos because I don't think that's productive at this point. And it might be good for business for me, but I think it's important to tell people that we're not going to underestimate our opposition. The bottom line is, though, that Trump can win. And if he plays his cards right, he can win by a decent amount. And so far, his campaign, for the most part, has been playing his cards right. And look what's happening. Now, I will say this. DeSantis decided to go out there and announce in a Twitter space with Elon Musk, a Twitter space, not an actual rally, and then maybe do a space that night or afterwards and get a lot of people in there to talk about all of the things, all the national issues he outlined in his rally. No, he did it in a Twitter space that did not even work for the first 20 to 30 minutes of the space. It didn't work whatsoever. You had Elon in there doing damage control, and then you had weird, creepy hold music playing. And then after that, it was nothing. It was radio silence for another 10, 15 minutes. Then they close the space. They get 600,000 people in that space, which for an Elon Musk space, I mean, he got roughly around that margin with the BBC space. When he was interviewing Tim Scott, he got a couple 100,000. The RFK Jr. space did very similar to that. If DeSantis is this transformational candidate who has a major support base that really cares to line up, obviously he would have done a lot better than that. Donald Trump in a Twitter space, if he returns to Twitter in a Twitter space, that probably would get millions I'd say probably 2 to 3 million people in there. Let's be real. And the highlights would do even better on Rumble, on YouTube, on whatever platform you want to name. They would do far better than that. But then DeSantis actually finally, let's get to the actual Twitter space. DeSantis starts speaking. Very quiet. Sounds like he's on a rotary telephone. No charisma. Had professors, and every professor I had in college was more interesting to listen to their lecture than it was to listen to this drone on and on and on about just the stuff he's done as governor that he's been touting for years and years. And I'm not even saying all of that's bad necessarily. I'm not saying everything he's done as governor is awful, but I'm just saying I have a right to say that it's been overrated and hyped up by his PR team consistently, that's been in bed with conservative establishment media, which is the same exact media that for quite some time on end has been in that Never Trump camp in 2016. And then the missteps throughout Trump's presidency, these were the people that were defending those missteps and not talking about them. They weren't criticizing Trump for his missteps during his presidency. Look at Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro was attacking Trump for being too easy on the lockdowns. Ben Shapiro was criticizing Trump for not listening to Fauci enough. And he's now a DeSantis sympathizer who's now saying DeSantis was ahead of the curve on that issue. And even if you want to say that he is, it's not genuine coming from these people. It's not genuine. It really makes you think and examine who is really in what camp, who is propping up which candidate. And looking at the DeSantis space, you look at the people in there, he was reading off a script. You look at the leak. There was a deleted tweet from one of the guys. I think it was Chris Rufo who was in there. It's a big CRT activist, but he pushes back on the notion that CRT is anti-white. So he's anti-CRT, but he doesn't even explain why CRT is actually bad for the reasons that it's actually bad for. Can't even define the term, can't even define it. That's beside the point. What I will say is he was leaking the scripted questions. So DeSantis drones on for 5-10 minutes, and then they go directly to scripted questions and probably scripted answers as well. And people were just tuning out. You had maybe 200, 300,000 people in there. half of those people probably were voting for Trump. Another quarter of them probably are liberals. I mean, Hassan Piker was in that Twitter space. So many liberals also were likely in that Twitter space there as well. So it's like, I honestly feel bad to an extent, because you launch your campaign, you're 35 points down, you're craving that announcement bump. And then this is how you go about achieving that. A Twitter space most people aren't going to listen to, that doesn't even work when the most people are actually in that Twitter space. And keep in mind, the name of the Twitter space with just Elon in there was Ready to Launch. Sounds like a space thing. People like Elon, they like space. Not saying that that relates to Twitter Spaces. That's like irrelevant to the whole like nomenclature behind it. But what I will say is that there were a lot of people were likely in the first space for Elon, and that didn't work. And he renamed the space DeSantis, launch, whatever. A lot less people were in there, and he only took questions from pro DeSantis people, and it was a self-filleting session. That is all they were doing, and it just seemed like a very like elite little club that was in there. You didn't take questions from the people. Like Trump goes to the town hall, like debates CNN, and he's like 77 because everyone wants to make the age argument. He's 77 years old almost, manhandles CNN, proves that he's the guy once again. And like me as a supporter of him, I'm watching that. I'm like, yes, let's go. You know, this is like big time stuff. Feels like your favorite team is winning the biggest like football game that they've really ever played in. Whenever Trump is going out there just dealing with CNN, it's like the same energy level. It's like, yes, there you go. This is big time stuff from the former president. And that's exactly what it was. DeSantis just sitting in there. Well, actually, CRT bad, woke, this and that. And it's like, yeah, woke stuff is bad. We agree. But if you're going to only run a campaign on that, and you're not even going to like articulate it in a way that's going to resonate with most people, like you're not going to not only win a primary, you're also not going to win a general, because you're probably going to be outflanked on a wide variety of other issues like economic issues, foreign policy, from the living vegetable that occupies 1600 Avenue. Because that guy in the White House, say what you will about him, he is a walking, living, breathing meme. And you know what that spells? It spells publicity. You know, it's something that you can use to your advantage. Even Jeb Bush, say whatever you will about Jeb Bush. He is an establishment rhino, total neocon. Somebody that's far worse on the issues than Ron DeSantis probably ever could be, even though they have similar backing and Jeb Bush is backing Ron DeSantis. Say what you will about Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush was more of a meme. You need that factor. You say, everyone wants to say, oh, the Trump cultist. If you want to win a primary, want to win an election, you still need something going for you that's like bringing more people to the table other than your snobby little intellectual advisor class that has a collective, you know, average IQ of 115, by the way. They're not that smart. I'm smarter than all these people. Maybe not Elon Musk, but, you know, that's beside the point. Politically speaking, I think I am smarter than Elon Musk. I can say that objectively because Elon is supporting Ron DeSantis, knowing he has zero shot at victory. Not exactly the smartest move, but what can I say? Personally, I think that there's a deeper motive than that. But you look at Biden, somewhat has charm compared to DeSantis. And I don't like Biden at all. I think Biden is the worst president of my lifetime. Objectively, he's Jimmy Carter 2.0. But you see him in the debate stage, whatever, like he somehow can appear human, even when he's saying, turning us into the pressure, like he's stumbling through his words. It's funny. Like that does draw some people in to the point where it's like they can ironically support that. Not only that, he has a massive voter turnout operation that's going to be benefiting him regardless. You're going to have to counteract that. It's not like DeSantis is going to go out there and win over all these undecided independents when he's sitting there droning on about issues in a way that most people are not going to understand. Like even his, and sometimes when he answers questions about like the border, which is the one national issue that was talked about in that Twitter space, copy and pasted Trump talking points, which again, there's no energy. And his live stream on Fox News' YouTube channel, a few minutes in, only had 400 live viewers. We have 470 right now on this channel with like 1.5% of the subs that Fox News has. So that should tell you about the energy factor. Who's behind this guy? Where's the energy behind this guy? Folks, there is none. And I'm not saying this like to have pride about this, that like I'm praying it's his downfall. But if you're going to be coming up here and trying to purposely divide the party, because there's no other reason for you to run other than to divide the party and waste money that could be used to defeat Joe Biden, well, folks, you're going to get clowned on. And for those who support DeSantis in the live chat, I'm sorry. You want to leave, leave. You know, I've gotten people saying, I can't follow you anymore. You're attacking the Ron DeSantis. And it's like, really? I've had the same position on the 2024 election, my entire channel. I have. If Donald Trump is going to run, I will support him. I didn't think that he'd be running against Ron DeSantis. Now that DeSantis is taking the bait from all of the worst people to throw his hat in the ring against our already decent established candidate that is electable enough to win, then there's no point for me to sit there and say, oh, well, this guy's like on our side, because he's not. He's not on our side. He can't deal with the media. He goes into Twitter space and deals with his like friends. And even then, he's like reading off of a note card. He sounds like he's reading off of a note card. And it's abysmal. And then Donald Trump reposts a meme from somebody that all the DeSantis people throw a temper tantrum about. Oh, he's throwing in a meme with, he's in a Twitter space with George Soros and like the ghost of Hitler and the devil and all these people. It's like, it's a meme, bro. Chill. It's literally just a meme. Like, you're taking this way too seriously, far more serious than it needs to be. Who cares if you know, Soros didn't formally endorse DeSantis? A lot of the people on the right that are a part of that same open society donor class, like the Koch brothers, they are funding Ron DeSantis, which kind of shows you that, hey, that donor class is funding him. So who cares if Soros didn't formally back DeSantis or whatever? Yeah, he supports Biden. We know. That's beside the point. They're in a Twitter space, and it's a funny meme, objectively funny meme, 2016 style Trump at it again. It's hilarious. And Trump comes in at the end of the Twitter space, like owns everybody. We get that. And it's funny. And that gets more views, not even close to the Twitter space and like all the rebroadcasts of it. Like Trump's announcement, for those who say I never criticized Trump, I thought Trump's announcement, while the messaging was good, I said energy's kind of low. And it was like a dinner at his house, basically, with like 500 people. And that's what happened. And I sat back there and I said, yeah, you know, we'll see what happens on the campaign trail, which again, he's high energy on the campaign trail, which I love to see. But you look at the, you know, initial announcement, I was like, meh, you know, it wasn't really broadcasted as much as I thought it would be. But still, it got like 5 to 15 times as more media coverage than Ron DeSantis's did. And it's like, you think this guy's going to come from behind and is going to win when this is what he's capable of producing? A fire festival of a launch on the internet, on a corner of a social media platform that is a feature that probably a lot of the people on that platform don't even know exists or don't even pay attention to that. It's like they're delusional. His advisors are spending more time attacking 16-year-olds on Twitter that are in their replies than they're actually like serious about winning. And this is true. We love GOP Josh, this guy. Christina Pushaw, by the way, is a foreign national. Or not a foreign national. She's worked in Ukraine. She's a big Ukraine shill. When Russia did their initial invasion, her reaction was like strongly pro-Ukraine. And she's like going off tweet after tweet after tweet. And she's mad because people are making fun of her because whenever she talks, she doesn't really move her face because she's got a little bit of work done. There's a little bit of work done. And I mean, it's true. People on the DeSantis camp have been attacking people on the Trump camp for the same things for quite some time. They attack my looks, despite me being very handsome, by the way. They attack a lot of other people. And whenever you punch back at them, they throw a temper tantrum. And you could say, well, you shouldn't critique a woman's looks or somebody's looks or whatever. But it's like, okay, well, I don't think that getting that much plastic surgery is necessarily moral either. If you can't move your face, you're doing something wrong. All right. I wouldn't even jump to that as my first criticism of Pushaw, but some people have, and that's their prerogative. And she's like going off and she's attacking random accounts. And if you're like this high ground, you know, warrior class of politics, it's going to go out there and just show that, hey, we're better than you, or do this whole like when you go low, we go high thing that, the Democrats said and used against Trump in 2016. They're just getting themselves into the mud with Donald Trump and his campaign, or just people that are pro-Trump. I don't even know. I don't really know much about. I mean, I know Johnny MAGA, the guy that posted the first tweet. He's great. He's a great follow. He posts funny memes. We love Johnny MAGA, but like, I don't really know if he's like involved in the Trump campaign formally necessarily. Neither is the GOP Josh guy. He's like a 16-year-old podcaster. From what I understand, he cares a lot about this country. He makes himself a meme sometimes, but he's self-aware about it. Like, he posted a picture of his PFP with like the Chatify filter, and like everybody just dogged on him for it. But it was funny. He's just memeing. He's a 16-year-old having fun memeing. And he said how much of the $1 million that the DESANTIS, because they like doing the LeBron thing, which is pretty funny. Like they're just saying D something. And I like to see the people in the live chat do the whole D like nickname thing too, because it's just funny, and that's what happens. You got to attack your primary opponents. It's exactly what you're doing. It's fair game. He says de-establishment. That's a classic. How much of that money does de-establishment raised yesterday will go towards your Boycotts? Which, again, it's kind of funny. Like, do you want me to sit there and like pretend not to laugh? Because I'm not going to do that, because it's kind of funny. And then she goes, does your mom know what you're doing on the internet? So she like gets into this shouting match with this kid. And it's like, you're getting mad and you're wasting resources and time attacking a 16-year-old on the internet because they had a good one-liner on you. And this is the winning strategy of the campaign, because Pushaw is like his lead advisor. I mean, we've heard for months from these people, oh, Trump's advisors were bad. Pushaw's so good. Pushaw is very weak on a lot of issues. I mean, honestly, she's like his Kushner. And in some cases, she's even worse. But beyond that point, it's like, this is what they're waiting. I mean, I never saw Kushner tweet it at 16-year-old Biden supporters on Twitter down the stretch of the 2020 campaign. I mean, that would just be another brutal low. I never saw Brad Parscale do that. All these people we criticized for legitimate reasons because they were horrible advisors, they were somehow more competent. In some ways, that was a bad thing because they were competently subversive towards Trump and his agenda. People like Graham, people like Kushner, etc., people like Parscale, they're more conniving. But it's like, these people are not serious. They're not going to win this primary. There's just no way. If this is how they're utilizing their energy, time, and resources, oh, we're going to hype up a Twitter space. It's going to be a failure, a fire festival. And then we're going to attack 16-year-olds. And then, oh, they got Gavin Wax like fired from like a side gig he had at Babylon Bee because he criticized Pushaw as well. Gavin Wax, great guy, does great work in New York for not just the Trump campaign, but a lot of other campaigns as well. Because it's not like we're like only having our personality revolve around liking Donald Trump. We actually care about this country. We care about pushing nationalist, populist issues forward. And we realize that Donald Trump is probably the best vehicle for that, especially given the people that are backing him versus the people that are backing DeSantis, and the fact that Trump tends to have a better pulse in the base. He's more malleable, even when it came to the whole vaccine thing. He was booed at his rallies. I was booing Trump at one of his rallies because I'm such an evil Blump cultist and just care that we booed him over the vaccine. And what did he say? He said, but it's time to move on. You have your freedoms. And then the whole audience was cheering because he finally got it. DeSantis is somebody who is more skilled in the way that he navigated it, but still, before he shut up about the jab, he touted it 1,600 times. And if that's what he's going to run on, he's going to get clowned on and lose, because at best, he's basically just a more quiet Trump who just shut up and then didn't have to be held accountable for it. But what can I say? The DeSantis people are in the cult. I mean, the physiognomy of these people. They say you can't attack people based on looks, but I mean, they're just like the fluoride stare. Like, you could tell they don't have an opinion of their own. They're just bots. They're just bots of the GOP establishment. And it's sad. I feel bad for a lot of these people. I feel bad for the cult that they're in, but we got to get them out of the cult because they're the ones in the cult. They say we're in the cult. That's a total lie. You know, if they're the ones saying, oh, well, if you don't, because the initial argument was if you still support Trump after all this, you're a cultist. It's like, no, I never waver. I've critiqued Trump throughout his presidency at times. It's probably why, might be one of the reasons why I don't like formally work for the guy. And if he does things that I don't like, I'm going to critique him in the future. I don't care. That's the kind of guy I am. I'm somebody that is my own guy. Sometimes I do make enemies, whatever. I don't care. I do what's right. I stand up for what's right. I've lost some subs here and there whenever I critique Ron DeSantis. I don't care. If you want to leave. That's fine. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. But you're more than welcome back anytime when I've been, proven correct about this and Donald Trump gets the nomination, and we got to support him down the stretch to get him in the White House again, if that's possible, because it absolutely is. And it's not possible for Ron DeSantis whatsoever. But it's like you look at these people and what they've been doing, and they don't have an angle here. They've been quiet. They have. And the recent poll out of Iowa, and I covered this in the last video, because they say state polls matter, not national polls. We haven't had a lot of state polls. What did the state polls say? Oh, Trump's up 42 in Iowa. Let's go. All right. This is what happens. You cross the movement for the wrong reasons, because there have been some people in this race like Vivek. He's critiqued Trump here and there, right? But I think he's in good faith. He's running in good faith. He's not somebody that I view as someone who is subversive or is trying to, try to hold back the movement and serve that establishment, even if there's questions about his past. Like Vivek, and I'm okay with him in the race. Maybe he could push Trump to the right in a couple of issues, because we need that, honestly. And maybe DeSantis, you could say, talking about like the stuff in schools has prompted some of Trump's platform in those areas to move to the right. And I even concede that point to a certain extent, but he came out with his policy positions on like the transgender stuff, which is based, by the way, Trump's policies before DeSantis entered the race. So like, that's irrelevant. That doesn't matter. And it's like, not everybody in this race is in bad faith, like I said, but DeSantis and the people around him, it's mainly the people around him that I have a problem with, because they'll say, well, you are a grifter because you praise DeSantis. And it's like, even if you watch my documentary that I made called America's Governor, that was relatively praiseworthy of a lot of what DeSantis has done, even though I kind of agree that I overrated him at the time and was sympathizing with him a little bit too much in retrospect, I said, Trump is still the guy. DeSantis has a lot of shady people around him that are propping him up for 2024. And all of that has rung true. All of my DeSantis takes from 2021, even when I was debating David Chapman, which again, he was right about a lot more than I was willing to admit at the time. I get it. All right, we'll concede it. But like, even when I had those positions and was sort of defending DeSantis from some people that were like pro-Trump and like pro-vaccine, all this stuff, it's like, even then, I still had the same takeaway about DeSantis at the national level. I've, stood 100% in line with my take then. And I would say that I'm pretty much in line now. The only difference is that DeSantis running against Trump puts the two against each other. And then you look at who he's listening to and the people around DeSantis, and it's like, okay, well, no, I don't like you anymore. I don't like you anymore because of the people around you and who you've been giving power to, and the fact that you're abandoning your state, which you've done a decent job here and there at, and you're taking that and you're trying to run for all the wrong reasons, have all the wrong people surround you, try to divide the party at the national level and probably lose, which it's funny. I don't view him as a threat. Like, is he the biggest threat to Trump? Technically, because he's in second place. But I mean, other than that, it's like, was Bill Weld a threat to Trump in 2020? No. And the GOP establishment's a threat to Trump in the general election, I think, because I think that they will try to sabotage him here and there. He can overcome it. He did in 2016. He's more established now, but they're more conniving now as well. So, hey, it is what it is. But I'm standing my ground on this, man. I'm not going to sit back here and cave and try to play both sides. We've done that for far too long. And while that might, help placate some DeSantis people, it's like, no, I'm drawing a line. I am. You know where I stand. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch me, and that's fine. I have a base here. All right. And you'll come back eventually and you'll be like, you know what? You were right. Or maybe you're just fully in bed with the establishment. In that case, you're probably beyond saving at this point, but I'll be praying for you. What can I say? Because that's what I can do. But we're looking into these. I mean, like all these people you see, like Jenna Ellis, like all the grifters, they say grifter, grifter, grifter. Yeah. Bill Mitchell, grifter when he was for Trump, supported literally everything Trump did, including the bump stock ban, by the way, flips on a dime to DeSantis out of nowhere. I'm really saddened by Steve Cortez. I know that even his family members are like subtly poking fun at him, but he got a job with the DeSantis PAC. That's a low blow because I really like Steve Cortez, and for him to turn on Trump, which he was supporting in like January, and saying the name of the super chat when he came out to support Ron out of nowhere. It's like, bro, you're doing it for money. They're all doing it for money. If you are supporting DeSantis over Trump, you are buying the lies, and you are a part of just a manufactured money cult. That's all it is. Grifters. All of them are grifters. Jenna Ellis is attacking. They say Trump attacks from the left because like Trump mentions COVID in New York. I don't care about that. I don't even agree with Trump. It doesn't matter. He's going to do what he can to attack DeSantis on anything because that's who Trump is. That's who he's always been. He is ruthless, and I think that's a very good trait, even if I do disagree from time to time. It's true. Then you look at Jenna Ellis. She's like, oh, well, MAGA people hate women because Gavin Wax goes out there and like says, hey, what's your effing problem to Christina Pushaw? Because she's attacking a kid and multiple kids, by the way, and is like acting more insufferable than like the Krasenstein brothers. And I said, Jenna Ellis encapsulates the reverse Midas touch. Not everything turns to gold. Everything turns to literal shit. Doug Mastriano's campaign. Even like people like Rufus were praising it before she got involved. I mean, the Trump election lawsuits failed in part because of her lunacy, discrediting whatever case Trump tried to make. And then she's getting on board the DeSantis train. She's a grifter. She's a loser. And it's like, yeah, there may be like one or two people in the Trump camp that I don't like and nobody likes. And they're quiet about it because it doesn't matter. Okay, whatever. Don't care. DeSantis' campaign. Who in his campaign do I like is the real question. It's like I could say, oh, I don't like Lindsey Graham. Oh, this one influencer is like a little bit off the rails from time to time. With DeSantis, they're all off the rails from time to time. And there's so many Lindsey Grahams and people worse than Lindsey Graham in his corner. And it's like, I think they're just jealous they don't have the Graham endorsement for South Carolina. I think that's honestly part of what it is. But what can I say? Guys, we're going to go for a while. And I'm sure we'll get to all the super chats. And we're probably making some enemies while we do this. I don't care. I really don't care. I'm not trying to placate you. I'm trying to be honest. I'm trying to help you out of the establishment cultish mindset that you're in. And I think I'm making progress. I really do. And I don't even hate, or I'm not somebody that's going to say I can't praise something DeSantis does or I can't critique Trump. But what I'm saying is the notion that this guy's going to go out there 35 points behind without any charisma, defeat Donald Trump, and then defeat Joe Biden with a divided party. Are you kidding me? Like, what planet do these people live on? Like, I just don't know, dude. Like, it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. It really is. And I want to find this tweet because this tweet is accurate. And by the way, they were, the leak questions. Posting it on Twitter. Like, are they like trolling us? Or like, what's the deal here? Like, that's probably the cope. But it's like, it's boring. The space was boring. And you might say, well, boring's okay. It's politics. And it's like, dude, if you want to, in this day and age, your opponent's got 80 million votes banked off the get-go because they're competent. Doesn't matter. Yeah, they're not going to do well in Florida because the Florida Dems are incompetent. But nationwide, nationally, in the states that matter, they're going to get so many votes. You're not going to counteract it with this. And the independents that you think are so swayable are not going to come your way in the states that matter. They're not. Even if DeSantis pulls off Arizona, which is not a sure thing, or pulls off Georgia, which again, in both states, he's polling in line with Trump. It's not a guarantee, folks. It's not. Even in those states, I said it's boring. And this is another term I coined, everybody's using. I coined DeSimp. I coined election mafia. Close ally of mine coined basement caucus. We've coined so many effective terms that are used daily in this sphere. Electabro is another one. And everyone's using them. No Riz Ron, because Riz means charisma. Some people think Riz is like, oh, it's like your skill with women. That's part of it. But Riz is derived from the term charisma, and he has none. And like I said, even Biden is somebody that at least has more charm, standing over the debates, panel, just saying something wacky. He's like, oh, it's the grandpa again. DeSantis doesn't have that. And I think I'm not even saying like Trump's the only one that does. I think Glenn Youngkin's electable, folks. And Youngkin is somebody who's probably like in line with DeSantis on the issues. But when it comes down to like his actual charm and charisma, he has it. DeSantis does not have it. And a lot of people don't watch him speak or listen to him talk. It's usually off of like a note card. And the more people that get acquainted with him, they understand that. And DeSantis is somebody, he's like walking in his ad, the back of him. He's walking. They don't even have his voice in one of his ads. It's like some voiceover that sounds like a British. What is he? Redcoat Ron now. We're giving him new nicknames. All the nicknames in the world. But it doesn't matter. He's not a transformational candidate. He's very status quo. He's Romney 2012 with a new status update, a new software update. Yeah, that's what he is. They give him a new service pack. Oh, well, he's not going to talk about these issues as much. Thanks to Trump, by the way. Oh, he's not going to like vote to impeach Trump like current Romney. Right. But Romney 2012, no charisma, kind of boring, didn't energize the Rust Belt, maybe did better in the Sun Belt suburbs by a couple of points. Those have faded away since then because of demographic change, educational trends that DeSantis isn't even going to be able to keep up with. And he's not a visionary. What's his vision for the country? Like, oh, America, freedom. It's like, okay, well, every politician on the right wing will give you that. I mean, every single one, you could get the same generic talking points from. DeSantis is just hyped up because he was governor of a large red state. And he, I guess, did more in the media, got more better headlines than somebody like Greg Abbott. And maybe they view the wheelchair as a liability. No, that's not even like me trying to get in like a low blow at Greg Abbott. Even though it's like a little bit of a low blow, he's in a wheelchair. Okay, that was a low blow. But that's just me saying that Ron DeSantis is somebody that kind of filled a role. He played a part. It's like an actor in a way. He's gassed up. He's a gassed up governor, inflated ego. That part is true. He doesn't have a clue what he's getting into. Wait till he meets Trump on the debate stage. He needs to debate at least once. I don't think he has to do these endless debates unless he wants to. It's like target practice for Biden. It's just like so easy, man. So easy. But it's like Ted Cruz 2.0. It's like you're not awful on the social issues, comparatively speaking, to some of these like Republicans or influencers or whatever. But you're like a Cruz Rubio combo. You're like, oh, Florida, like maybe not as hateable as Cruz, but not like as likable as Rubio or Trump. And it's really telling. Marco Rubio won by a similar margin in 2022, but he was outspent by a lot. DeSantis outspent Charlie Crist by like $90 million plus, and he won by 19. Rubio won by like 17, 18. And some of the down ballot characters that were in the mix did even better than DeSantis. So yeah, tell me all about how DeSantis is like this juggernaut electorally because he won a midterm year in Florida where the Democrat Party apparatus was awful. And yeah, maybe you can give them some credit for why they're so awful. But I mean, that was probably going to happen whether whoever won. If you had any Republican win the 2018 Florida gubernatorial election, let's be real. So yeah, he doesn't know what he's getting into, and it's sad. And I maintain that position. And if you support Ron DeSantis, that's fine. We could argue about it. Join the website. Call into our next stream. We're going to do a call-in stream. I promised it by the end of the night, or by the end of the month, not by the end of the night. Unlike Ron DeSantis talking about serving out 2 full terms in Florida, I keep my promises. At least I try to. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And by the way, DeSantis is going to serve 2 full terms because there's no way he's winning this nomination. So I don't know if that's the best example, but super chat time. I know a lot of you guys have sent in super chats. We have 18. Hopefully we can see if we get any member chats in there. I don't think we have any, but you can become a channel member on the website. But also if you want a little badge in chat, become a channel member on YouTube as well. You don't really get that many perks. I think we do have the Discord server for YouTube members too, but don't quote me on that. I don't know if we've updated the link, but here we go. Bad people do exist. It says thoughts on the AZ state legislature banning electronic voting machines. Hobbs is going to veto that. And even so, like the machines are not necessarily the main issue. And I'm probably going to get hate from that as well. But like there's a lot of other issues at play besides machines. I think Florida uses a machine. A lot of states that are red do, and there's no real issues there that people talk about. So, but either way, I think we should go to paper. I think that is the better move. Don't get me wrong. But it's going to die at Hobbs' desk anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Trigonaut says, feels like Trump v. Cruz all over again, down to the coping from opposition of Trump. It is. They are Dallas Stowe Cruz crew. That's all they are. The Cruz crew, they were vicious. They were angry, bitter. Oh, I'm going to vote for Hillary in many cases. And like none of them really did. And they'll be back. They'll be back. And I feel sorry for them. You know, I really do. And we do have to welcome them back, but they're not getting, they can come back, but they're not going to sit at the front of the bus. They're going to sit at the back. They can ride in the boiler room of the train. Like they're going to come back, but that's where they're going. All right, let's be real. Part of the problem with Trump's presidency was a lot of people that didn't even support him, and like the general that made it into his cabinet. It's like, you can't have that. I get it. You wanted to compromise with the establishment, but those are the same people that'll be front row with Ron right now. So Trigonaut says, feels like Trump v. Cruz all over. Oh, we already did that one. Walker Barajas. Thank you. Walker says, Meatball Ron ain't built for the presidency. No, he's not. And he's short. Like, people want to say you can't attack looks, but I mean, it does matter. Like, I remember watching the primary debates with my mom back in 2016. One of the gripes she had with Rubio was that he was like kind of a little tiny. And it's true. And like, especially with women, you want a Chad that's going to do well. And with them, I mean, DeSantis is somebody who's just a little awkward. He's just not somebody that's really going to be able to command the room. He's 5'7". And I mean, some world leaders are shorter than that, but he wears these like women's heels. It's like crazy. There's like a what's it called out there? An AI of, I think it was like an Office meme from The Office or whatever that I think Don Jr. posted. It was really funny. It was AI. And they had Ron DeSantis's face and voice on Michael Scott. It's like a clip of him like wearing a woman's suit or something and women's clothing by accident. And he's like defending it by saying, oh, it's Italian or whatever. And it was just like, yeah, it's just too easy to poke fun at this guy. Like it is. You're not supposed to, because he's got a lot of positive press in conservative media. And you're called a plump cultist if you oppose anyone who might threaten Trump for the nomination. But it's like, Trump's still our guy. He's our candidate. Like, who cares? Call me a cultist, whatever. I don't really care. Doesn't matter. I'm not in a cult, clearly. They're the ones in the cult, because if they actually paid attention, I criticize everybody. I praise everybody if I see fit. I praise Mitt Romney when he's talking about, oh, we need like family growth programs. That's just the way it is. It's subjective. I mean, Trump now is talking about that as well, which is epic news. So, you know, there's no unique point of strength for Romney anymore. But either way, it doesn't matter. I said DeSantis did a good thing with his abortion ban. Like he did. Yeah, more lives saved. Good job. Now, did he do it for political reasons? Yes. And now he's saying, or there was leaked audio that says that Ron DeSantis is going to run to Trump's right in the primary, then pivot to the center left on abortion in the general. He's going to have Bill Clinton safe and rare stance. And it's like, so you're saying that you want like no abortion and Trump is weak on abortion, and then it's been leaked. This is no different than Hillary Clinton saying she has a private and a public position on everything. It is no different. This is swamp creature behavior. And it really makes a lot of people question, was Ron for all these years playing a part when he was, you know, getting all this positive press? And you look into the little details and it's like, yeah, like what did he pass? Bills that like Bill Maher praised? Oh, you're not talking about gay sex until 4th grade. Okay. Why are they talking about it at all in schools? Especially like before 9th grade, why are they talking about sex at all? Even if you are somebody who believes sex ed should be taught in schools, I think it should be taught by people's parents. But no, and obviously it's the Florida state legislature that passed the bill, but if he has problems dealing with them and it's pulling teeth to deal with the state legislature that's friendly to you, endorses you, supermajority, what happens when you get to Washington and you have to deal with the actual swamp that even Trump, somebody with great intentions, went in there and tried to wrestle, and eventually they got him, but he's coming back for vengeance and is trying to wrestle them again. And even then, I'm not delusional. Like, I know Trump in 4 years is probably not going to save the country, but he's definitely going to do a lot better job at, you know, castrating the swamp and kind of, you know, ensuring more doubt in our institutions than somebody like DeSantis. A lot of DeSantis's pros are all from the MAGA base anyways. Like the whole like anti-jab stuff or COVID skepticism, that's literally Trump. Trump was the one pushing all those like alternative cures besides like lockdowns. Nobody talks about it. And yeah, Trump gets trash from me because he didn't do enough to stop the lockdowns. But DeSantis had his very own Fauci's previous Surgeon General. He got like a based one in there after COVID was already over. And it's like, what difference does that make other than, having like this positive press thing going on? It's just like, yeah, that's it. It's all press. And we're beating him in viewers right now from his Fox News live stream, at least. So Sam Madsen said, judging by that Twitter space, Ron's chief advisor must be Vince Dow. No, because Vince would actually do a better job. And I know that's a joke referring to a time where Vince spoke without audio for 15 minutes. But I mean, what was it, 7:14 or whatever? This was 5:25. And that was abysmal. It was. Oh, man. Shane Keena says, Razorfist said in a vid that Trump has the inexplicable ability to level up when backed into a corner. RDS is transformational. BT at behind the scenes for Trump. What does that mean? I don't know. But it just proves that he's like weak. He's like cannon fodder for him. And like he has no riz. He has no charisma. He doesn't have the ability to go out there and command the room with Trump. And Trump is like old, but it doesn't matter. He's still like the Zoomer, honorary Zoomer Chad. And it's going to be easy. It literally will be easy for Trump to man the room, man everything. Just go out there and post a W. Like they're delusional. Look at the polls. He's been indicted. He's had all this horrible stuff thrown his way. They convicted him they quasi-convicted him as a rapist, which is BS and bogus. And it's sad. And they had a bad midterm year because the establishment sabotaged it as well. And then the Republican establishment made me lose credibility because the polls didn't match the actual turnout. Why? Because they suck. They didn't do a good job. And maybe Trump gets criticism for not getting involved enough, maybe. But at the end of the day, he lost ground and he gained it all back and then some. And like the shitty Marquette poll is the only thing holding him back in the average from being like by 60. And that poll had him like getting destroyed a few months back. Had him losing to DeSantis by like 30. And Marquette's like probably like the Wow counties area. They're probably like conducting the polls like an internal. Is what it is. I mean, there's polls that are not in the aggregate that have been conducted that have Trump above 60. Not just talking Rasmussen, but there's other ones too. And it's sad, but hey. Mike M says, DeSantis said he wants to repeal the First Step Act. Is it a good idea? I'm just tired of seeing criminals being treated like they're the victims. Here's another example of me criticizing Donald Trump. I opposed the first. Well, first of all, I was more of a libertarian back in the day. Everybody knows this. I was pro First Step Act when I was like 18. And then when I was like 19, 20, start to evolve ideologically and oppose it. And I said Trump made a big mistake. And it's true. You letting criminals on the street because Kim Kardashian tells you to is not the best move. But DeSantis voted for the first rendition of the First Step Act. And it's true that it wasn't as lax on crime as the second rendition. But if he was still in Congress, then you guarantee you he would have voted for it. Guarantee you he would have. What against him? What criticism did he have of it back then? Why is he just now trashing the First Step Act? Oh, I did my job during the riots. Trump didn't. Well, Trump didn't do his job there either, but he sent the National Guard to you. You know, Tim Walz didn't call it in Minneapolis or Minnesota for a reason. And Trump should have sent him anyways, dealt with the constitutional loopholes. I don't care. I criticize Trump because I'm not a cultist, but I'm tired of proving that I'm not. I mean, I'm just doing it because that's my take on it. And I know there's constitutional loopholes. I get that. Put him in a bad position for sure. And yeah, Trump should overturn it. DeSantis will never reach the White House at this rate because he's ending his career. But if DeSantis somehow were to get in, he should do it. Anybody should do it. Biden should repeal the First Step Act, honestly, if he actually wants to gain credibility with independents or people that care about crime, but he hasn't. He won't because he's pro-crime. He's pro-anarcho-tyranny, and it's a sad thing. So Nick H says, it's funny how the Sims have gotten so cocky over nothing. Yeah, where's the bump? You can't convince me this is the bump. Even if it was abysmal. This is from one poll that was garbage. One poll that was garbage and is an outlier. And even if it is accurate, Trump still wins by 21. Are you serious? Let's look at the Democrat nomination polls. Oh, Biden's at 59. Trump right now is at 54. And he's not even an incumbent president. So you talk about people in the party who don't like you. Biden's got a bigger problem on his hands with RFK Jr., who's running as like a centrist with some intriguing positions. I wouldn't vote for him, but I mean, like, who knows what's going to happen? He already got the Aaron Rodgers endorsement. He'll probably get some of those, like, mushroom heads on his side or whatever. Oh, big deal. Yeah, but there's no reason for them to get cocky. I'm kind of cocky right now because I'm like cautiously cocky because it's like, there's just no way he's going to win, dude. And like, regardless of however you want to chalk it up, I feel bad. Like, you're not making up a 35-point deficit. We want this guy. We want this guy back. I'm sorry. We want this guy back. Not only is he good for content, because apparently I'm a total grifter who only cares about, money, even though I've lost some followers and connections for supporting Donald Trump over on DeSantis. No, it's good for business because it makes things interesting. Not only that, it opens up the conversation nationally we need to have that's better for this country. And not only that, he's going to be more effective. He will be, not just on economic issues, but foreign policy. So even social issues, he will be. Because Trump has his pulse in the base better than most. And I will say that DeSantis gets in there with his Karl Rove Bush crew around. What's he going to do? He's going to bomb the F out of a lot of countries because they'll tell him what to do. And in Congress, he had a murky track record. That's when he had more leeway in the people's house. Yeah, when you take somebody like DeSantis, put him in there with his crew, Pushaw, all those people, Ken Griffin, the worst of the worst, it's going to be brutal. And like I said, Trump in and of himself, there were flaws there, even in the foreign policy, because he didn't know what he was up against. The Pentagon was lying to Trump about the troop counts. I mean, it was brutal, guys. It was brutal. But hey, we're back and we got to win. We got to get the party on board with the one that can win and the one that will win the nomination. And I will say that. I've been doing a lot of predictions lately because I think that the prognostication business, a lot of question marks, but I mean, it is good content. People like them. And I will do predictions, probably do one the next week or so, maybe an early June prediction. But nevertheless, I think Trump is the more electable candidate, not just because of the fact that he is like charisma, but also because he can appear to be the more sane one that just talks about issues that are common sense. And 2020, there's a little bit of straying from that message. Kushner's gone. He's gone. Probably going to vote for DeSantis in the primary. Ivanka's gone. Like a lot of those people, Parscale, gone. Like you're going to like throw a temper tantrum because he has Lindsey Graham in his corner. Like, okay, Lindsey Graham, Trump rebukes in front of his face. He never did that throughout his presidency. But he's like, you could be here, but I'm manning the ship. That is character development from Trump that these people won't acknowledge because they don't want to acknowledge it because it doesn't fit their never Trump narrative. Sorry. I'm going to make enemies tonight. I'm sure of it. I don't care. I'm being real. I just don't care. You don't like me? Fine. No, you criticize Governor Das. No. Guys, everyone's open to criticism. If I criticize Trump, the Trump people usually agree with my criticism. If I criticize DeSantis, the DeSantis people like are throwing meatballs, no pun intended, at me. In the live chat. Oh, yeah, hit the unsubscribe button if it makes yourself feel better, but you'll be back eventually, I guarantee it. And we'll welcome you back with open arms, but you're not sitting at the front of the bus, tell you that much. John Waffle HGP says, DeSantis is a bum who wants to be an establishment shill. I recommend everyone go to watch the Bush-Kerry debates to really show who's funding DeSantis. Well, he's also a flip-flopper too. Flip-flops on everything. Flip-flops more than somebody like John Kerry on Ukraine says one thing to Tucker, another thing to Piers. I mean, folks, this is who we're up against. This is who we're dealing with. Like, am I outlandish for saying any of this? I'm sorry. I don't think I am. We're going for like 2 hours tonight, maybe more. Because we have a lot to talk about, and I'm very fired up and I'm passionate about this issue any more than pretty much any other issue that we could talk about, because I think it's so important for the sake of our party. Even if we have to, lose some people in the mix, they'll be back. They'll be back. I'm confident of that. And it is what it is. I get it. I really do. I understand why people get caught up in the whole establishment narrative. It's easy to get caught up in it. It's easy. It's taking the easy way out, but it's also taking the wrong way out. And we don't want to take the wrong way out here. You're fed up with the woke corporations like DeSantis. Okay, he's getting like a spat with Disney. He's not even winning the fight that clearly. I don't like Disney at all. They're woke. They peddle woke propaganda to the children of this country. It's disgusting. But they're like, yeah, but their stock might be dropping a little bit here and there. But is that really because DeSantis is like attacking them? Like, no. Seriously, they think that's it instead of like other like business deals that probably don't affect the whole thing. Like, oh, they're not opening an office in Florida and they're putting it in California. It's like you probably have a lot of Floridians that may be able to infiltrate Disney that could work there that are probably more solid. Now you're just going to have it go more woke because they're leaving the state. Whatever. It is what it is, guys. I mean, we're winning the boycott war too, and I want to talk about this as well. We're not going to, I mean, we'll probably touch base on it here and there, but Target and Bud Light are just purging their sales because of marketing. They're losing a lot of money. And I have a good friend from Florida, great guy, lives in Southwest Florida. Not going to say who, but he works for Target. And he confirmed to me the other day that they are removing their woke merchandise, or they have to remove it. They've been ordered from corporate to take it down. And it's almost like we're getting involved in the culture war effectively, and we're winning. We did it with Bud Light. We made an example out of those losers. And they're at their piss water beer company, made an example of them. Now we're going up to Target and we're doing the same thing to Target, and they're losing and they're caving. And then we're going to do it to the next one. We're going to make an example out of you. So maybe the boycotts are working, honestly. Maybe they are. And that's a very good thing. And we need that to happen. And now Bud Light's trying to like apologize, fire people, put out like patriotic beer. And it's like patronizing too. I get it. You know, they're still not winning. It's funny. But it's like, go woke. Yeah, go broke. It wasn't the case for a while. Now we're making you go broke. The Dodgers, screw the Dodgers for a multitude of reasons. But the main reason is now they're partnering with like this drag queen nun group that like, I mean, obviously it's LA, so they don't have like the backlash necessarily, but they're partnering up with this like drag queen, like they make fun of Catholics. And I'm not Catholic myself, and I've, you know, criticisms here and there of the religion, whatever, you know, I'm Orthodox. Although like there are criticisms there too, not like strictly as Orthodox maybe as I used to be. But that's beside the point. Like, nevertheless, yeah, I try to follow the scripture as much as I can, but that's beside the point. What I will say is like, it's patronizing, it's anti-Christian, it's not just anti-Catholic, it's making a mockery of the religion. And you don't see that to Muslims. They don't do that to Muslims. They don't do that to Jews or Hindus or Buddhists. It's only Christians. They're the ones that have to bear the burden all the time. They got the target on their back. So, you know, it's like, this is what baseball, because everyone is always like, oh, well, screw the NFL, watch baseball instead. It's like, no, baseball's worse. Baseball's bad. They're honestly worse. Even the NFL is kind of walking back the whole BLM stuff slowly. You know, they're, instead of saying end racism, oh, wow, we'll put end racism in the end zone. Now racism rates drop to 0 right now. You know, they say it takes all of us. More vague. It's like vague nonsense. Okay, whatever. But it's like, yeah, okay. So we're winning slowly in the corporate war. They're losing value. We're taking victory laps up here, but we have a lot of work to do. And I still believe in government action, not, oh, we'll like strip these protections and get in this long-winded legal battle. No, instill a woke tax. You go out there and you engage in political speech. We are going to end you financially. And I think that'd be a good thing. Oh, it's unconstitutional. It's like, okay, if the founding fathers saw what was happening to our country, do you think they'd write the Constitution the same way? It's a great document, but if the people are not moral or religious, it goes out the window. Folks, this is true. Like, and that's a quote from the founding fathers. This is a document for moral or religious people. Moral or religious. I think that there's a big correlation there, if not a big causation level there. Society is largely godless, which is a major problem. And though they hide behind a poor interpretation of the Constitution to justify that as well, but you're looking at it and it's like, guys, we have work to do, and we're going to have to use that little power. And whatever DeSantis is doing with Disney, he's not winning the fight. You know, you got to win the fight. Like, it's just a long-winded legal battle that's just going to be probably just going to cost jobs. And obviously, I think that sometimes it's justified to lose jobs if you're going to be winning the fight. But if you're not winning the fight, then why? It's like, if we go into the Middle East and we, you know, win the Iraq war and one day take all the oil, it's like, I'm not going to be counter signaling the war as much. Right. But it doesn't work that way. We still have troops over there for fighting for what? For what exactly? Yeah, you tell me. It's disgraceful. But yeah, let's go. Nick H says Biden at least can be appealing, endearing to normies, unlike Meatball. Yeah, I mean not Biden. Biden. Well, yeah, Biden's like a funny dude who's goofy. Like you watch the AI president memes, like it's hilarious. Like I saw this guy did a very esoteric video. It was a 2018 NFL redraft video, which is a very niche topic of Biden, Trump, and Obama. I probably wasted 40 hours of my life just rewatching it because it's just so funny. And I'd recommend people watch it if they like understand what would be going on. But it's like they make Biden seem hilarious. And obviously that's not real Biden, but even Biden in real life, I don't like the guy. I hate his policies. I think he is a bad dude. He is a puppet of the establishment, the same way DeSantis is. But if you're talking about electability reasons, like, yeah, he can come off as charming and charismatic, and people can resonate with that more so than not. And when it comes to DeSantis, he doesn't even have the meme factor. Like, I think Youngkin would be electable because he has charm. There's different elements of charisma. You have the funny side. You also have the charming side. Youngkin can make you in the audience feel like there's a connection there. Like, oh, I'm going to be fighting for you. He's got the vest on. He's like a working man. And it comes off as genuine, even though he's like a CEO or whatever. Like, he's always the basketball player. Like, Obama, you up for a game if you're going to be in town? Like, you talking all this nonsense about me. And it's like, yeah, it's relatively charismatic. DeSantis, on the other hand, is, guys, we are woke, 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 woke. Trump this, Trump that, Trump this. Guys, like, we saw this with Cruz. Cruz didn't have much charisma. And even then, it's like, he's just not likable because it doesn't come off as genuine. But even then, like, there was still a little element of forced empathy there. DeSantis, like, I say this as somebody, I'll even say this and throw a bone to the DeSantis camp. It's not going to matter. But, like, work on this guy. Like, what are they doing? They had so much energy and time to hype this guy up, like, for months on end, knowing this would happen. Like, you got to seem genuine in your announcement. Like, they probably got him watching these charisma videos, self-improvement, whatever. And it's like, no, dude, you are not that. Like, yeah, it's like, spend all this time. Like, what's he going to do? They're gonna sit him in front of a YouTube screen. Like, they're probably like playing Hamza videos. It's like, come on, Ron, you got to become Adonis. And it's like, he's not Adonis. He's the mega Jeffrey governor who's never going to be the president of the United States because he just doesn't have the connection to the voters. He's going to speak in front of Iowa. He's going to be like, hello, guys, it's Ron DeSantis. I fought the woke in Florida. It's like so easy to do an impression of Ron DeSantis that it's like unbelievable. It is. And like, you talk about electability, Trump is electable. 43,000 votes across 3 states. Biden's popularity is in the gutter since then. Trump's is like unmoved, if not even higher. And it's like, oh, but independents hate Trump more now. It's like, bro, Trump lost independents by like 15 in 2020 and almost won. Like, he could lose them by 10 and win. It's about turning out the voters. And Trump has pivoted his messaging. He spends less time pandering to voters who don't vote for him. He talks more about middle America. He's reverting to his OG message. That's going to bolster him big time with turnout in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, states that he needs to win. And no, but the midterms, well, you look at Tim Michaels, robotic, just like DeSantis. You look at Mastriano, like he was like nowhere to be found. Dr. Oz didn't come off as genuine. And there was obviously both hurt each other in a way with turnout for different reasons. And yeah, tell me more about how DeSantis is he can't even come close to winning 20% of the vote in the primary. How's he going to defeat Biden? Like, how? Like, this is the serious question. It doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. Like, there's so much you have to take into consideration. Like, Trump is not losing this nomination. Why not just get behind him and try to help him win the general? Because he can win it. I'm sick of this notion he can't. He's beating Biden in the popular vote in the polls. The national polls were accurate in 2022. The state polls were not, in part because Trump wasn't on the ballot and because you didn't ballot harvest an early vote. And now Trump wants to ballot harvest an early vote. Even Kerry Lake in Arizona is announcing a ballot harvesting and ballot chasing operation. So I'm sick of the lies. I'm sick of the nonsense. I'm just tired of it. I'm up to here with it, which is probably about as tall as Ron DeSantis is while I'm sitting down. And folks, I've had it. And I'm here to discuss. We're going to be talking about it for a while. We got all these super chats. Thank you guys for tuning in. But Gorgeous Mayhem says a disaster won't even go on Megyn Kelly. How about you answer some tough questions? Exactly. Oh, I'll answer questions from people that are literally like it was a self-filleting session. And I hate to use unsavory language on this channel, but it was, for lack of a better term, cover the ears of the kids. It was a circle jerk for this robotic dude who, again, it's like, even if you want to be like a Trump cultist or whatever, or like defend everything Trump does, there's more sanity in that. Cause I can understand why somebody would just love Trump. They'd love him to death. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a political hero, honestly, but to do the same thing on steroids for Ron DeSantis, like, what's wrong with the chemistry in these people's brains? I swear. Oh my God, dude. It's unbelievable. Michael Duggan says, eerily similar to 2016 donor political class backing establishment politician telling you Trump can't win. Ron has no charisma or spunk at all whatsoever. Notice how they're just the cruise crew. Exactly. Dallas Stowe, the Dallas Stowe cruise crew. It's true. That's all it is. It is cruise crew 2.0. Except this time, at least Ted Cruz was winning states in the primary. Cruz won Iowa. He wasn't losing 62-20 in Iowa. Trump is a lot more established now. And whenever Trump shows his face in the media, he goes up. Even if he falls a little bit in the polls, it's probably not because DeSantis had a great announcement and had an announcement bump. It's because Trump, the CNN town hall things that'll wear off. Oh, he went from 57 to 53. Oh, he'll be back up next time he gets in the media. And when he gets in the media spotlight for the debates, whatever, he'll be front and center. He'll win that nomination. And the debate moderator is going to be Caitlin Collins 2.0, probably. Just A-logging Trump the whole time. And Donald Trump is just going to have to deal with it and just like attack both. And like, what's he going to do? Oh, well, he's like, oh, worst thing is he's going to attack DeSantis from the left. It's like he attacked a lot of people from the left in 2016. And I mean, I wasn't a fan of all of it. Like when he was defending Planned Parenthood for like the non-abortion stuff they did or whatever. Like, yeah, I wasn't a fan of that, but also it took issues off the table in the general election. And whatever Trump said about abortion or Planned Parenthood didn't matter during his presidency because, he cut their funding and he overturned Roe v. Wade. And now so many states are sanctuaries for actual life. And that's a good thing now. And you have an option at the state level to get rid of what I believe to be a largely satanic practice, especially you take it, some of these states in the 9th month, they're killing the babies and pulling them out of the womb. And even in some cases, the governor of Virginia talking about afterbirth abortion. Like that, you're going to tell me that's not a satanic ritual? You're going to tell me that that's normal? Or that's something that should be viewed upon as what we should stand for, or is like a luctable? No, absolutely not, folks. Absolutely not. But you know what? Is what it is. And now the whole narrative is going to be, oh, well, Trump is weak on abortion in the primary. And the evangelicals or whatever, they're going to still be backing Trump. They're still going to be backing him. And he's going to get that party on board. Wait till the RNC. I hope to be there. I hope to be there, maybe not as a delegate, but in attendance for sure, because I'm sure media is going to go crazy. Because keep in mind, last time it was COVID. This time it's like, it's going to go crazy. Where are they going to have it? In Milwaukee or wherever? The Pfizer Forum or wherever the Bucks play, the new stadium that Scott Walker helped build. Ooh, it's going to be insane. It'd be good to be back in the state of Wisconsin for a weekend to watch Trump deliver hopefully his best speech in years. Lions 1956, his thoughts on the COVID vaccine, thoughts on 1.6. Well, I don't know how YouTube still does their TOS stuff about that, but I'm not jabbed. I'm not jabbed. And I feel like it's funny because the DeSantis supporters, a lot of them were pro-jab when DeSantis was pro-jab, because DeSantis praised it 1,600 times and nobody ever talks about it. If you mention it, it's like, oh, you're a Blumph cultist for some reason, even though you're telling the truth. Let me see if I can pull this tweet up. Yeah. Supported lockdowns for a month. Yeah, exactly. She'll jab 1,600 times in public appearances. That's Ron DeSantis. Now, Trump did it too and was booed, and I booed him for it. So it's not like, oh, you're supporting the jab. And in terms of the 1.6 stuff, it's like, it's irrelevant to 2024. We know what happened there. Oh, it's Blumph's fault. Oh, it's Blumph's fault. Like, no, it's not. We saw what he did. And even then the feds egged a lot of stuff on, allegedly. Got to say allegedly, but they allegedly did. We allegedly saw it on Tucker, and then they took Tucker off the air. I wonder why. But yeah, No, 1-6. It's like if the Democrats make their campaign about 1-6, they're going to get decimated. Like they will, because Trump's going to be talking about the issues. They're going to be talking about 2020 and 1-6. And it's like, well, that's all Trump talks about. No, it's all you talk about. And when Trump's out there on the main stage in front of the media, he can command the media through that, just through that way. You saw what happened at the CNN town hall. Whenever he tried to pivot, they tried to pivot back. And I mean, Trump's answer on 1-6 was a bullseye answer. His answer on 2020 was like what you would have expected him to answer, but he didn't like go overboard or make the whole thing about that. I think he mentioned it one time later. It's like he didn't have to do that, I guess. I mean, that's the primary, general election, it's differently. So you do things a little bit different. Shane Rossi says, we will never allow foreign forces to infiltrate the MAGA movement. We'll never go back to the party of Bush, Ryan, and Rove. Thank you. So true. And shout out to Vanessa for 20. Thank you, Vanessa. Appreciate it. Wholesome DG Aftershock says, how do you get roasted by Biden? If you adjust for inflation, Romney actually raised more money than DeSantis on the first day of his campaign. There you go. I mean, hey, you look into Romney. I'm not supporting Romney when I say this, but like his campaign in 2012 was identical to DeSantis's. They're identical to like the same like talking points in terms of, oh, we're going to use the same old worn out like GOP economic talking points. The only difference is there's a new software update. Like the personality's the same. Everything's the same. And it's like, these are the people. Romney got destroyed in middle America for a reason, because he didn't turn out voters to save his life in these places. Trump was running up the score in these rural areas. A lot of his supporters, we always talk about the Obama Trump voters, and they do exist in some cases in large numbers, but we don't talk about the no vote to Trump voters. And a lot of them did not vote in 2022. And I think they did a poll of like Biden or Trump Biden voters. And I think like a good portion of them, like 6 out of the 15 that they polled, were going back to Trump. And that's right now. Wait till Trump gets out there again. Possibly could be even higher than that. Because whenever he gets in the media, his numbers go up. It's not like, oh, he's going up because he doesn't get any media. That's a lie. DJ Aftershock says, imagine DeSantis loses the 2024 nomination and runs again in 2028. This time in the debate stage with 6'7" Youngkin. How would that debate go? Oh, boy. Oh, man. Like, I really, it does feel cheap. It does feel cheap to trash him this much, but it's just so warranted at this point. Because how dumb can you be? We're going to clown on you. We're going to do it. I'm sorry. We're going to do it. I notice how we haven't had any super chats disagreeing so far. Now, that might change when we keep reading them, but I haven't seen a lot of people in chat disagreeing. Press 1 in chat if you are agreeing with me. You're pro-Trump. Press 2 if you think I'm wrong and DeSantis is your guy. Just let's see what people say. I've got regular chat on the side. We'll see what people say. And again, people are open to their opinions, but I'm saying like, it's a lot of ones. That's a lot of ones. It didn't used to be that way. There's a couple 2s, but a lot of them could just be contrarian too. And some of them may be legit, but is what it is. I'm waiting for the person to say 3, because there's going to be somebody saying 3 anytime soon. I guarantee it. I don't see it yet, but no, we got great things planned for this week and next. The call-in stream on Sunday, pre-Memorial Day stream on Tuesday, going to be on a panel with another large YouTuber that I'm sure a lot of you guys know very well. I don't know if I'm going to like repost it here or if I'll just redirect people there. We'll deal with that when the time comes. But I mean, hey, it's going to be great content. So, yep. Dink H says, it's funny how does Sims think that independents are just suburbanites? They never talk about the blue collar worker who voted for pro-choice. Of course not. And the suburbanites that are like gone per se are not coming back. Suburban women approve of Biden's job by like, I think it's like 52 to 37. You're not winning them back. I think they voted maybe barely for Obama or maybe even for Romney, and they definitely voted for Bush. But suburban white women are not voting for DeSantis. They're not against Biden, especially the way his campaign is going. And Biden's going to attack him on abortion. He's going to flip-flop. And then DeSantis is going to piss off the pro-life crowd, according to these leaks, because what he's doing is he's saying he's going to go to they said he's going to pivot to the Bill Clinton position. You know what the Bill Clinton position was? Safe, legal, rare. Legal. Keyword is legal. Which, again, that is a position that might, I guess maybe have a majority of the public support. But, I mean, the fact that that's your position, like, no, that's not how you do it. You conceal it. You say state issue. We might look into a federal level limit, but who knows what it'll be. And Trump has the correct position on abortion at the federal level in terms of his rhetoric for electability purposes, while still being strong on the issue to legislate to save more lives. That's what it is. Let's see. All New Year 2020 says, what is Youngkin's charisma? Well, I kind of covered that already. Like, he is somebody who wears the vest. He seems sympathetic to the people. He has an inflection in his voice. He's not just like a drone, a robot, reading off a note card. Like, you think, and people say, oh, well, the DeSantis hate calling him meatballs, like offensive to Italians or whatever. I'll say this about Italians, and I know quite a few Italians. They use their hands, but they're charismatic people. They have the riz. They have the, this energy about them. And DeSantis doesn't have that. He is not a stereotypical Italian. I don't even know if he's going to do that well with them because of that. I mean, like, we saw Mastriano. He was not that charismatic. And he's not running for Senate. I think it's a good move. I'm fine with him for Congress. He's good on the issues. But for Senate, I think he might weigh down the ticket a little bit because I don't think he really knows how to run a campaign that well. So maybe in a safe red congressional seat he'll run. But you're talking about somebody that brings the fire, the energy. He's not that. He's not that at all. Samuel Harrison says, I have to debate someone in school on immigration. Do you have any advice? I've done a couple of videos on immigration that have been pretty comprehensive. You might have to go way, way back to the start of the channel to find them, but they might be good. I know that there have been a lot of websites that aggregate studies and things like that on wages, but make sure you attack the issue from all cylinders. You're going to have a layered argument. You're going to have to understand the counter arguments. That doesn't just go for immigration, but with literally every issue. I mean, hey, I understand. I did do school debates back in high school, back when I think it was like Donald Trump was in his first full year in office back then. A lot has changed, but you're gonna have to find a way to go out there. And obviously, if you're debating, also you have to develop. And the same thing for presidential debates. You're gonna have to be funny. You're gonna have to bring in the one-liners, the meme factor. Make the people that might not agree with you in your class laugh. That's definitely gonna help sway people over to your side and get in your opponent's head, especially. Like, that's what you got to do. Rin Wesley says, what's your number one pick for Trump's running mate? Guys, we'll deal with it when the time comes. I don't even know who's going to be considered. We do this every stream. Like I said, who knows what it'll be? Somebody who hopefully can appeal to the base, but also win over people who may have defected in the primary, but not caved to the establishment so far. Bad people do exist, says Hobbs does not have the power to veto the AZ ban, power of deciding solely within the legislature. If true, that's good news. If true, I hope that's true. That'd be a good thing. Dr. Hux, thank you for the 2. Watkinski said DeSantis 15-week abortion limit from last year and 6-week from this year may get struck down. Well, I hope it doesn't for the sake of Florida and the many people that live there. But if it does get struck down, even then that's kind of like an optics disaster for DeSantis. I don't think it will, though. Maybe the 6-week one, but not the 15-week one. Because we kind of saw that with the whole Dobbs v. Jackson decision, unless they try to reverse it, and they're not reversing it at the Supreme Court level if it gets appealed up there. So our first defector super chat, this is America, says, I believe the U.S. desperately needs Ron DeSantis. He's good policies, and it's about time a young person entered the national stage. Well, if the young person has the charisma of an old man who maybe slightly obviously more coherent than Biden, but still doesn't really bring a lot to the table, isn't really that much of a fresh face, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. Somebody like Josh Hawley, he has more charisma and he's younger. He's a lifter. He's a Chad. Somebody like Vance who, has a great life story. I mean, his charisma is improving. He's a phenomenal senator so far. Nobody could disagree with that. Those are new people entering politics, even people like Blake Masters, who lost, but he still has a future ahead of him, maybe as a congressman or whatever. Like, you have a lot of great people entering politics, but you talk about the national level at the presidential slot. I don't think we desperately need DeSantis and any good policy he has. What's the difference between that and Trump? I mean, he has all these policy advisors, and all they could do is talk about what he's done as governor in a self-flating Twitter space as his presidential announcement. So that's why I disagree with that. And we're going to have a lot of discussion over the next couple weeks, months on this channel, because I think it's very important that we do. In order to kind of sort this out. Because if you have a divide in the party, you got to rectify it, but we got to get everybody behind the truth here. And the only people left are going to be the Christina Pushovers of the world, the this guy Maxes, the just like the Twitter people, again, who either A, were like, they were pro-Trump during his presidency. They had nothing negative to say about Trump until DeSantis steps in the ring. Like, literally, even when Trump was attacking DeSantis, a lot of them stayed, not all of them, like, but a great portion of them, like Pushover and all that, stayed quiet. But yeah. Okay, FM, bunch of numbers, says the LTE. Oh, shout out to Bruce Rice, by the way, real quick, for becoming a new member. But this guy says the LTE cult's coping with their Senate takes. Kansas, Alaska, Florida, Missouri, North Carolina, and Ohio flipping blue, but they're eager for Gen Z being able to vote soon and worry they'll ruin everything for us long term. We'll deal with them when the time comes. But I mean, like, in terms of them, like, yeah, they were not even that much better than me this past cycle. Let's not retcon or rewrite history. Pretty much nobody predicted the midterms right. And if they did, they were completely wish casting. Like, who had Arizona governorship going blue? Very few people. Senate races, very few people had Oz losing. Very few people had Laxalt losing. And I don't think a lot of people understood how badly we do against incumbent governors. And that is what it is. We took the L. I said I took the L with the predictions, but so did all the people on the right who claim to have the moral high ground and act like they're right about everything, about electability and all this stuff, because they're wrong. And if Trump was on the ballot, yeah, you probably would have Senator Laxalt, maybe Senator Oz, Governor Lake, maybe even. I mean, that's a little bit of a stretch because they're just so similar. And Arizona's close and not really, I mean, like, Trump friendly-ish, I guess. Even though I maintain the fact that it's not a neocon state either. Candidates that do best there are candidates that have their foot in both doors, that are liked by both wings of the party. That's objectively true. Even then, demographic change is working against them. But it's like the whole prediction thing. Yeah, I was wrong. And first of all, 2020, we were pretty much spot on margin-wise. States that we had going 0.3 one way went 0.3 the other way. And that's a lot better than people that said, oh, Wisconsin's going to go blue by 7, Michigan's going to go blue by 10, and Texas is going to, like, be on the verge of flipping or flip. So tell me more about how I'm awful and how these people are the greatest at everything and that I'm wrong about everything. Enough is enough. Listen, we took the L, we move on. And we keep going. And I'm not going to bow down to people who are wrong, but somehow take all the wrong takeaways away from the midterms. So, yeah. Sean Jaramillo, I believe that's how you pronounce that, says, do you think Trump can win Georgia? I think he can. Will he? I don't know. If you get the rural margins up and ballot harvest enough, it's possible. But even then, you have to deal with the suburbs. But even then, you got to fight for this, get as many votes as you can in the suburbs. There are non-college educated white voters who do live in Cobb County that you're going to need to turn out. You're going to need to turn out everybody. Just focus on chasing those ballots. They didn't do it in the runoff. That's one of the reasons why Herschel lost by 3. Again, I predicted that one accurately. Nobody ever talks about that, but is what it is. Nick H says, I feel like a sucker because I used to believe DeSantis was Trump's here. So, I mean, I did too. I just didn't really think that, like, it'd be this bad. And watching him just take the bait from all the worst people, I don't believe he's a successor, and I won't vote for him in a primary in 2028 when there's going to be much better options. Like, is he better than Nikki Haley? Like, yeah, I guess. But I mean, the people around him somehow are more incompetent. It's like, I'm astounded, dude. I'm astounded. Twitter's a war zone right now. I mean, hey, we're doing our best holding down the fort there. I mean, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, follow me on everything, Rumble. But it's crazy the amount of nonsense that we have to see. And it's just bad faith nonsense. It's bought and paid for lies. They don't change the truth. They don't. Trump is winning this nomination. it would take a massive blunder on his part. Even then, he's saying things that some of the base may disagree with, like the whole New York did better than Florida on COVID. I don't agree with that statement, by the way. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I know why he's saying it. He's getting in DeSantis's head. He's making him talk about 2020. The same people that say Trump only talks about 2020. COVID, mainly 2020 issue. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter, because it does, it does kind of play into the future. The whole GR, we know what that means. All that stuff. COVID was a part of that. If you oppose the lockdowns from the get-go, like so many of us did, that's a good thing. Obviously, we like that. But if you're going to make the whole issue, a whole election about that issue, you're not going to win, because that's just not an issue everybody views as a number one issue anymore. I mean, if they do, maybe they will vote for DeSantis because he played the issue smarter by being quiet, even though if you attack him on the issue effectively, it turns out that, hey, well, maybe Trump and him were like identical on it, or maybe it's not that much of a difference because they're both pro-jab, anti-mandate. So, yeah. Daryl 90210 says disaster doesn't have the abundance of desirable VP candidates to choose from. Running against Trump disqualifies him from options such as Lake and Flynn. I don't think Flynn would want to even be in the running. I think Lake's going to go for Senate. I think there are desirable VP choices for both. Technically, there's some overlap there, but even then, it's like VP doesn't matter as much as people think it does when it comes to actual policy. Like, if Trump picked somebody I didn't like as VP, I'm still voting for him, like hands down. But would I vote for that person in a 2028 primary? No. And I opposed Pence before anybody did. I said in 2020, they're like, oh, Pence 2024. It's like, no, I don't want Pence in 2024. He's like a softer Ted Cruz. I think we need somebody better, somebody who's more nationalist, populist, etc. And a lot of people now don't like Pence. So feel vindicated. And then he talks the way he talks about Russia. It's like, yeah, well, I'm, again, another rep of vindication. Nobody talks about the W's. They only focus on the L's, and that's fine. They're more than welcome to, but they're going to be taking a big fat L in about, 8 months. So have at it while you can. I'm the punching bag. Hit me. We'll see what happens. FM32047 says, Rep, love your videos and excited to vote for Trump a third time. Don't worry about the noise. Save those dissent meatballs thrown at you for Trump 2024. Yeah, it's going to happen. And I'm not saying he's guaranteed a victory in the general, but what I'm saying is he's guaranteed a great shot in the general. And the people that are like, oh, Blump's going to lose Texas, he's going to lose all these. No, he's not. Dude, like, I did the math. I said, okay, we're going to take the 2012-2016 shift in all the DFW counties, and we'll shift Houston left, which is probably, it may not even happen. Montgomery left further, all these places further. And it's like, even then, Trump still wins by 2-3. Like, there's just no way, because the rural counties will move right because of turnout and because of competency within the state party, even though there are rhinos, and we can talk about that, trying to take out the best AG, trying to limit the power and influence of certain state reps. It's a disaster. But still, the state party's competent enough to get Donald Trump a victory, a sizable victory, and their team players for the most part. And say what you will about Greg Abbott, I don't really think the guy's all that strong, but him and Trump are on good terms. And I think that's a good thing if you want somebody who's a governor with a high approval rating to campaign for you in general. You're going to have to make those deals. It's how politics works. Trump mastered art of the deal for a reason, not just I'm going to burn all my bridges and see what happens. Obviously, we like to keep those people at an arm's length. I think Trump knows that more so now than he did during his presidency even, but it's like, yeah. Benson X said the Star Wars sequels did more damage than RDS. Nick H says, sucks to see Cortez and Laxalt join Team Meatball. Well, Laxalt was like buddies with them in the military. They were like BFFs or whatever. They're close, tight-knit. No, that's not me making a Lindsey Graham, Tim Scott joke. I'm not doing that, but I will say that they were platonic friends in the military, so it's understandable why Laxalt would. Not saying it justifies it or that I think he should, but Laxalt would probably easily support Trump in a general, so I'm not like super worried about it, and it's not like his endorsement will mean that much for Nevada in the primary because Trump's going to win that easily. Sam Madsen says, what does Ron lose Wisconsin and Pennsylvania by at this point? Depends on the divide in the party, but I think you look at Tim Michael's margins there in Wisconsin and Oz margins in Pennsylvania to kind of gauge what's about to take place. Southern Folk election prediction says DeSantis leads Biden in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. It's just people don't use the polls enough and say they're inaccurate when they favor Republican. Well, the polls that are showing that are from POS strategies, which is I like to call the piece of shit strategies, because that's exactly what they are. And they usually don't have crosstabs, and they're touted by the people that claim that all the polls are nonsense, but only this poll is good. And it's like, no, because they show DeSantis winning states and Trump losing them. And it's literally a DeSantis bought and paid for internal. So let him have at it. Garrett Varandikar's thoughts on Mastriano declining to run 24. Already covered it, but it's a good thing. I don't think he'd win. He wouldn't come close. He's a nice guy, but I don't think he's capable of victory in Pennsylvania, and maybe should run for Congress one day and learn how to campaign better. So, yeah. Joshua Mills says, in the Dodgers defense, they're bringing back a Christian Faith Night led by Clayton Kershaw. Oh, by the way, did you know him and Matthew Stafford grew up together? I feel like I have to say that because anytime you watch an NFL game with Matthew Stafford in it on primetime, they bring it up 25 times. So I commend them for that, but I do understand it's pretty sad that that none group is going to be there. Well, it doesn't justify it. Like, they could do that too. It doesn't matter if they're still doing that. You know, there's no justification. I actually can understand where the marketing team sees, because these people don't understand anything about religion or faith or how it works. And a lot of them are woke. They're like, oh, well, let's bring the Christians and the gays together by having like these degenerate, blasphemous, like Catholic nun drag queens. That's probably what they're thinking in their brain. And you know what? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. It's disgraceful. I'm not Catholic myself, and I'm disgusted by it. I'm pretty sure that you'll even see Muslims who oppose Christianity still probably like be horrified at the sight of that and think that it's awful. And you saw a lot of Muslims in comment sections that were, you know, defending Catholics actually, and saying how just awful that the Dodgers were being. And it is true. All sports is, I mean, like the whole thing is becoming, they're trying to gay it up for some reason. Everything is a pride, this, that, and the other thing. And we need to push back on it. It's like, yeah, I still follow sports, and that's going to be the case for most people. I, however, do think there are other ways that you could hurt their income and losses. Maybe you don't watch as many games. Maybe you just go to the bar instead. You know, there's different things you can do. Don't give them as much of your money, especially if they're going to be doing that kind of nonsense. And make sure that you could hit them where it hurts and be very vocal about it. The Bud Light thing also is just the vocality behind it. It's not even just the boycott, but it's the vocality behind it as well. That really kind of drew the clear opposition, because their brand became associated with that. And I think it's a little bit harder with sports, and the boycott with the NFL failed for a wide variety of reasons. And I think you're going to have to find other ways to mitigate the wokeness there. But I think that's where the woke taxes would come in. Knight says Biden has zero charisma. You're grasping at straws. I didn't even say he had charisma. I said he had charm. And he's a meme. He's a walking meme. That helps him. Jeb Bush had no charisma. He didn't have much charm, but he was a meme, and that helps him. DeSantis has none of those things. I don't think I'm grasping at straws by saying the vegetable that occupies 1600 Avenue does tend to have this ability to come off as human sometimes, because he absolutely does. And in some cases, it makes him look like a buffoon, and we dunk on him for it. And at times, like I said, it's kind of to his detriment. I even said back in the 2020 primaries that I was worried about the prospect that Biden could like out meme Trump. And I don't think that's possible now. I didn't think it even happened during the campaign, but Trump needs to revert back to what made him so great. And he's been doing that every step of the way. The national populism, reverting to his policy. And it's like, why would I ever oppose this guy? He's combining the best elements of his presidency, his 2016 campaign, and what I believe. It's like now I'm more like driven to support him now than I've ever been. That doesn't make me a cultist or whatever. That makes me a realist who cares about this country. And to say that, oh, well, if you don't support my guy, you're the one in the cult. It's like, I think you have to look in the mirror, and you absolutely do. So Buck Hunter says Jim Pillen ended the permit requirement for concealed carry and banned trans surgeries on minors and further restricted abortion in the state. I mean, that's good. Jim Pillen, I mean, is probably an upgrade over Ricketts. I don't think he's like the best governor in the country, but like, it's funny because governors do exactly what DeSantis does. It doesn't get the headlines. Like Kevin Stitt, to a degree, in Oklahoma, did some stuff. it didn't get the headlines. So many people as governors have done it. McMaster, John Forte, like better stuff even than Ron DeSantis. They never get credit for it, ever. It's only DeSantis, because he's playing the role. He fits the bill. Harvard grad, he served in the military, which I'm not knocking that. We love our veterans. But if you look at the people like Bush or whatever, a lot of the presidents in the past went down that route. They served in a more medial position. I believe DeSantis was like behind a desk. Like that doesn't even resonate with like veterans as much, because like in the military, don't they like make fun of JAG officers? They call them JAG offs for a reason. I'm not saying that to disrespect them, but I'm saying even people in the military don't view that as like a prestige type of thing. That's like always like a combat veteran. Like as much as we knock on somebody like Dan Crenshaw for being a total rhino, a globalist, whatever, like he did serve in combat. It's a little bit different. DeSantis, if he's going to use it to his advantage. And the problem is he's like posting himself in his uniform, like acting like, oh, he's like this military guy. But in general, like he didn't serve like in the front lines. Like it is a little bit of a disingenuosity there when he's doing that. I'm not, like I said, we support our military, our veterans 100%, but there are even veterans who see that and they're not fooled by that whatsoever. And they'll back Trump, who did more for the vets than any president in modern history. So that's what I'm saying. Let's see. Bob Marsh says DeSantis is a very good governor. As Florida resident, it's evident he's being steered by the deep state and needs to learn from Trump and wait till 28. Well, now he's not going to be able to do that because a lot of people are going to just view him as weak after Trump gets done with him. I mean, there's a reason why Rubio's not in the mix. Cruz is not in the mix. He may like move back over and get in favor with the base again to a certain degree, but it's probably not going to be to the same extent. And when he's kind of like exposed in the national stage for not having the charisma or set of stones to take him to the next level, I mean, that's the way it works. So, let's see. Southern Folk election prediction says you're not for Republicans, you're only for Trump. That's not true. I'm for America first, Republicans and conservatives. And that is very much true. There's some people that make their whole personality about Trump, and like people like what Raspone in Louisiana that ran in 2019, who got decked, by the way, and didn't bring any policy substance to the table. I hate those people. I hate Josh Mandel, how much he was willing to like get on his knees for the Trump endorsement, and it didn't work, which was hilarious. And we love to see him lose to somebody who's more measured and may have his own personality like Vance and does great things in the Senate. So no, I disagree. I disagree 100% with that take. I don't think I'm only for Trump. I'm not even for Trump on everything. I think we've already covered that in the live stream, but I think that the whole notion that if you back Trump at this point or you're defending him over DeSantis, that you're a blunt cultist. No. And for the people that are out there that only vote for Trump and wouldn't turn out for somebody like DeSantis, people get frustrated with them. And I understand why they get frustrated, and they kind of hurt Trump-backed candidates in the midterms by not turning out to a degree. But it's like, why don't you understand why people are only for Trump? Maybe because he brings something to the table. He talks about this sense of American revitalization and exceptionalism, and touches the hearts and minds of many people who otherwise wouldn't be inspired to vote. I don't see that as a bad thing. I think it's a very unique point of strength Trump has, and the Trump hatred fatigue is kicking in. Because if keep in mind, Democrats were not fired up in 2022 or these, Supreme Court elections because, Blumph bad or Mo won 6. They were fired up about other things, the abortion, whatever. They just got good turnout in general because they were smart. They organized properly. It's like, even if it didn't sway any voters, the issue of abortion being brought to front and center technically may have played a role, not like enough to make a difference in like some of these races, because obviously some abortion restrictionists won big. I'm not saying it was the only issue, but I mean, like they were energized on other issues, and Trump was not a big issue look at the exit polls. The people that said, I vote to oppose Trump. No, like not at all. Trump not a factor was like the biggest thing either way. Yeah. See, a lot of the combat vets agreeing with me in the live chat too about DeSantis. And yeah, because they will say, how horrible are you? Because you cannot say anything bad about any member or role in the military, which I didn't even say anything bad about it. I said other military members will understand that he's kind of running the PSYOP. And it is part of the psyop. He's somebody who's playing a role per se, gets and runs for office. When the Senate seat opened, what did he do? He ran for the Senate seat. Then Rubio jumped back in. He jumped out. Then he ran for governor, was saved by Trump in the primary, was saved by Trump in the general, and kind of rode those coattails off the MAGA base and got really good turnout because he has a competent state party. And like I said, maybe he gets some credit for that, but it's not all the credit. I mean, that was already kind of building up regardless. And look what's happening right now. He's going out there. He's taking W's. So at least in the midterms, and then he's taking L's because he's going out there and he's running for president. And not a lot of people are very fond of that, but hey. The damn production says, I don't think DeSantis is a bad guy. He's done some good things in Florida. He's a delusional guy. I'll say that. What upsets me is I feel like this is going to ruin him forever. Do you think he could run in 28? He can run, but like I said, the magic is lost with Ron. If it was ever a thing to begin with, the magic is gone. Oh, you're going to be this epic MAGA Quadillo governor, which again, it was, like I said, a lot of it is overhyped. And I touched base on that in my pro DeSantis documentary I made in 2021. That people would like to use against me to call me a grifter. Watch all the DeSantis content on this channel. I really haven't swayed in my notion that I prefer Trump. I praised him for things that were deserving of praise. For example, redistricting. He did a good job with redistricting. I gave credit for it. He made sure the state legislature stayed in line. Okay. But did I ever say I prefer him over Trump? No. And like, it's funny because he got people into Congress because of that map. And then all the Florida congressmen endorsed Trump before DeSantis even announces. It was a beautiful thing to see. And that's showcasing Trump's campaign being competent, which we didn't see as much in 2020. Sam Madsen said, why did the boycotts never work until now? Well, I think that there was just not this major mobilization effort. And I think that, the dam has to break after a certain point. And also because of a lot of, maybe it is partially conservative media shifting to online, but also because of the fact that they're targeting their own base. I mean, Bud Light's base, a lot of them are like rural, white, blue-collar beer drinkers, and they stab them in the back first and foremost. It's like NASCAR going woke, but now Target sees the problems now. And then a lot of those people now are like, oh, we're going to keep riding the boycott wave. And Target says, hey, no, maybe we shouldn't because they made an example out of Bud Light. What if it happens to us? So not everything is not going to be like unwoke, but you're going to have that outcry. And like I said, the left whines like SJWs. They're SJWs, but they get everything that SJWs want. Like you have the neolibs in there, but the whining like leftist SJWs, they're the ones that mandate policy. Why can't we have the same on the right? We're not going to whine and like scream at the sky, but we need to be competent and actually outline some sort of like a serious way about going about these things and finding a way to make our voices heard, so we don't have this sort of thing happening. And hopefully we could start to turn the tides a little bit on woke capitalism and all this stuff. So we'll see. Definitely the pendulum does swing. I don't think it's ready to fully swing back. I think it will on aggregate get worse before it gets better. But I mean, hey, shout out to Shelly for the 10, Ishmael Mage for the 10. Appreciate it, guys. Brandon Fairbanks for the 10 says, Rep, you're on fire. 2018 vibes. What are the odds of a trifecta in 2024? I don't know. I wasn't even here in 2018. I assume you mean 2016 vibes, but I agree with that. Odds of a trifecta like in DC. I mean, I think if Trump wins, we probably do hold the House. Depends on redistricting, but we probably get a seat in Ohio, maybe 2 in North Carolina, but we might lose some if they reinstitute a Hochelander in New York. Who knows what's going to happen? Or maybe they'll be confident and say, oh, we'll flip those seats back anyways. And maybe they'll fail. Who knows? Who knows if New York actually moves right at the presidential level? I mean, you saw what happened at the Senate level there. That's a national election. You have chronic overperformer Chuck Schumer only win by 14, which is like 10 points less than what Biden won it by. So who knows? Maybe a dam is kind of breaking a little bit in some of these states. Who really knows? FM32047 says, after tonight, DeSantis is now known as Meatball. Well, I mean, he's always been like called that, like for the past few months. It's not just tonight, but like I've never seen anything more incompetent. There's no cope. They're quiet because there's no cope. They're as quiet as they've ever been because they know they've lost the argument. And now they're like, okay, what are we going to do? We'll wait for the polls. Hopefully there's like a small announcement bump. It's not going to be an announcement bump, like just not going to be one. If there's one, it'll be minimal. And it probably has more to do with Trump staying out of the media after the town hall announcement than anything else. So, hey, what can I say? Blues bassist says, what is GOP Hispanic vote ceiling in Texas? Probably somewhere in the 40s. I mean, Texas Hispanics, I think, are more malleable than people think just because of all the Tejanos, and we saw that. And it's funny because people are like, well, the trend stopped in South Texas, but it's like a lot of people stayed home too. Just like in the Midwest, a lot of people stayed home. Very similar to these non-college educated white voters. And if they come back in full force in 2024, you probably see the trends happen again with full turnout, and they probably happen in the Midwest. So like I said, it kind of proves my point about the Midwest. You look at the South Texas example with the turnout drop there. So, I mean, hey, Peter Dukas says if Bush lost in 04, would the GOP be better today? Probably, because they'd win big in 06 and 08. More likely than not. I mean, Supreme Court wise, things get interesting, but probably on aggregate, they'll have a similar amount of judges. So I agree that they'd probably be in a much better position if Bush lost in 04. In hindsight, yeah. Endeavor 25 says, in my opinion, Ron is a ploy to push more support to Trump. I don't know how that exists in reality, but I don't know. DM Production says the only person outside of Trump I want to run is Tucker. He should continue the MAGA movement. I agree. Tucker, like if Tucker was the one going up against Trump, like maybe, yeah, I would vote for Tucker over him. I mean, he's not going to, obviously, but I consider it. But Tucker will have his day, I hope. Hopefully he'll be at least like a de facto advisor again to Trump, or a formal advisor, chief of staff to Trump. That'd be awesome. I'd love to see it. We love Tucker Carlson. There's so many people I like in politics that actually do represent my interests and my views on things and my views on the state of the country. Trump happens to be one of them. DeSantis doesn't happen to be one of them. It's all talking about, some 2-year-old virus response, which again, I gave him credit for, and so did Trump at the time, and the whole debacle with Disney, which he's not the clear victor of. Disney's more woke than ever. They're losing a little bit of money, but they're kind of losing money before. It's not because of DeSantis, for a lot of other things, and possibly boycotts as well. I mean, it is what it is, but the fact that, DeSantis is single-handedly destroying Disney, and he's winning, that's why he should be president, like, doesn't really work that way. So Blues basis is the only good argument for Ron I've heard is the GOP would have incumbency over Newsom or another potential threat in 2028. Thoughts? I mean, technically one could say that, but I mean, either way, you could also make the argument that, like if you look into the clear like history behind incumbency, that if Ron's approval is like mediocre, maybe it would be better to have somebody else step in. I don't know. For example, some people say that Biden being kind of getting out of the way and having Newsom would step in, he'd be better. Who knows what's going to happen? I think that it'd be good to have Trump in there so we could get a fresh face in there, probably, who could serve maybe another 8 years. But like I said, I think Trump gives you more flexibility, because 2028, what if DeSantis is exactly everything that the critics say that he is, and then he's up there in 2028 and he is like a Bush president and has been awful, and maybe you want somebody better. You're not going to probably primary him out successfully, but it doesn't matter because he's not winning the nomination, let alone a general against Biden. So is what it is. Sam Madsen said, is it right that most of the Romney Clinton voters of the suburban women and their husbands were the Romney Johnson Biden voters? It's possible. I think so. There's some lag there. But again, there's also that the suburbs, like, they don't really look at the gender discrepancy, because the men in the suburbs are college educated white men, tend to be like less moving to the left than college educated white women. And that's also something that's not talked about enough. And the men tend to be more malleable. And if you have Donald Trump going out there yet again against Joe Biden, and Biden has hit for everything, and the people that may be Trump Biden voters or Johnson Biden voters who were open to Trump and maybe voted for Biden, if they realize that, hey, Trump was the better choice, then they'll probably be more likely to gravitate towards Trump if they disapprove of Biden than their wives, who might approve of Biden because they sit at home all day and watch MSNBC. I don't know. So Bruce Rice says, you handled that whole debacle like a boss, the midterms. Thank you, Bruce. It is true. Like, they don't get it. We get it. They don't get it. And that's what it comes down to. We did the midterms. I could spin it. If we're going to do the spin nonsense, the way that they spin everything for their boy, why don't I spin it for myself and say we got 90% of the Senate races correct and 85% of the governor races correct. And it's like all this stuff. And it's like, I don't think we need to do that. There were misses. I think we've learned from our mistakes, and definitely we're moving on, and we're talking about 2024. These things happen. Historical norms get bucked all the time. But you know who's not bucking historical norms? Somebody without any ounce of charisma in their body, like DeSantis. I said it. So Universe 7 Scum says Trump should pursue a federal anti-BDS. I disagree with that, because you're taking free speech away. I disagree with banning free speech in any way. I don't care what you support in the conflict. It doesn't exactly matter. I don't think that that's necessarily anti-woke to put an anti-BDS law, which again, he did that, and I'm not 100% on board with that. I think that in general, you look at that and you look at what DeSantis did in Florida, his free speech bill was very draconian per se, and they lie about that as well. But it's like, I think that is like one of the clear shining examples of, oh, this guy is not our guy. It doesn't do just like the kindergartner version of whatever that he says it does. It takes it a step further and bans all sorts of free speech. Like, you already had protections in law against, like, I don't know, if somebody's going to spray paint something on private property that is offensive or whatever to that person. Like, you already have legislation against that. He's just taking it a step further. And I don't think that BDS law or anti-BDS laws are something that are really that constitutional, whether you support the movement or not. So that's my take on that. Some people may disagree with that, but it just is what it is. If you're going to claim to be pro First Amendment, it has to be First Amendment, relative absolutism, not just expanding on, regular open space and public, but also to social media, other things like that are large enough to be public squares and should be regulated as such. So it is what it is. I disagree with that take. Bin DR News says, UK citizen here, can't wait to come over for the Trump 24 election night victory. Well, I guess we'd be happy to have you. I guess British people fought a war to get away from you guys, but the good remaining British people that happen to be there, that hate their leadership on both sides. The same thing with the Canadians. Yeah, I don't know. Rather have them come over than people that hate our country or don't even speak the same language, I guess, but still is what it is. Glenn Youngkin for president says, hey, Red Eagle. Oh, let's see. Okay, there it goes. Finally, it's on the screen. Can you do me a favor and say Keystone State politics? You're lying to everyone. I guess I just said it. I don't know what that's about. I don't know who that is. So, it's like, I guess you paid for a cameo. Keystone State politics. You're lying to everyone. That's just what it is. Manny says Shapiro, Walsh, and Rubin are on DeSantis's team. The whole Daily Wire, and I don't know about like the Blaze, which is where I believe that Rubin is, but they tend to get paid by the DeSantis camp. And it's kind of telling. Knowles is the guy that's on the Trump side there. Knowles tends to be the only holdout, and good for him. But you look at Shapiro, and he was an ever-Trumper. He didn't even vote for Trump in the general. Walsh was out there like eviscerating Trump in the primary in 2016. I don't even know if he voted for him in the general. Rubin was like a Bernie Sanders supporter back in 2016. And DeSantis, talk about the whole, you talk about the whole like alphabet stuff. DeSantis sends him onesies for his babies that he got through artificial means. So you talk about who's woke. Yeah, I think DeSantis is probably just as woke, if not even more woke, on the alphabet issues as well. He just plays his cards right with public relations, as Donald Trump said, #1 governor in public relations. And that I can agree with. Trigonaut says, it's kind of insane the amount of dissimps in your comment section on Twitter living around. They're paid to A-log me. They're paid to reply to my tweets. And even then, I find them pathetic and I laugh at them. I could block them all, but then they'd be out of a job and I feel bad for them. And I kind of want to, let them spend their money on that instead of something else. I mean, you see these people, they're like, oh, I get the job. And they delete the tweet. And it's like, yeah, well, you kind of admitted where you're working and you're working for DeSantis. So there you go. What can I say? I'm laughing. I'm having a great time up in here. I'm having a great time tonight. I've been going for almost 2 hours. We did another 2 hours before on a different channel in a live stream I was on. So we've been 4 straight hours and I'm still high energy. And I'm sure some people probably are going to be going to sleep soon or they're out and having a good time. It's Friday. I want them to. You can't be online all the time, but you can catch the replay if you want. But yeah, we're going to keep going. This will be the last call for super chats. I want to go until the 2 hour mark. We have 5 minutes remaining. That way I would have officially done 2 or 4 hours of streaming technically combined today. Populist Missourians has chance Trump wins the popular vote in 2024 against Biden. I'd say 35%, honestly, at this rate, because you probably will do better in Florida, maybe even Texas, or about the same. California, New York, maybe New Jersey. It just all comes down to having that turnout operation. Get it done, boys. Get it done. I'm telling you, you do it, you're going to win. If you don't do it, you're going to lose again. And that's not just on Trump. It's on the whole party apparatus. But Trump is somebody who can go out there and win and is more electable in the places that count than somebody like Ron DeSantis is. And it's not talked about enough. We'll see how this guy does in his debates, honestly. I'm looking forward to it. How's he going to do without a note card? He won't even go in front of CNN or unfriendly media. Like, he won't. Even the whole 60 Minutes thing from a few years ago was partially scripted. And that was to make him look like a boss in front of the liberal media. And it's just whatever. It's not even average Trump, let alone peak Trump. Right now, not even talking 2016. I think Trump right now is a more mature version of Trump 2016. And he's better than Trump 2020 for a wide variety of reasons. Probably going to get more raw votes as well. I think he could crack 80, 90 million, depending on the turnout operation. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Okay. That one, Oddball says, I've seen people say that DeSantis will run to the right of Trump on guns, abortion, the vaccine, and others. Your thoughts? I mean, listen, he probably will try, but even then, it may even hurt him in a general if he does that. To what extent, especially if he flip-flops and goes back like he said he would in the leaked audio, or it's just going to make him look dumb. Guns, red flag Ron. He passed or he supported red flag laws. The same way Trump did that and the bump stock thing, that was supported by DeSantis. DeSantis and Trump are identical on guns. DeSantis and Trump at the national level, apparently DeSantis is going to be running to the left of Trump on abortion, despite having actions that are to the right of Trump on abortion. So that's not going to work. The vaccine, when it comes down to the vaccine, it's the guy's going to go out there and what's he going to say in front of the national audience? In the Republican primary field, is he going to go out there and say that, oh, I didn't shill the jab 1,600 times and Trump was the one that touts it 24/7 and praised and had no infightings with Fauci or anything like that? No, doesn't happen. Fuck it. It's I'm just tired of it. I'm sorry. I'm just tired of this nonsense. It's not going to work. It's really not. Nick Case's meatball is always a deep state plan. It's I'm not going to get into the shouting match about deep state, which again, the deep state on the right is backing him, but there is some question marks there. He's been, like I said, he follows the life trajectory of your Bush tier politician. He is Mitt Romney with the newest software update. That's all he is. So take it or leave it. That's your guy. 20% in Iowa, Ron. 15% in Iowa, Ron. Probably 10% in South Carolina, Ron. A dropout by Super Tuesday, Ron. If not, it's going to be embarrassing the longer he stays in. He never should have got in. Should have called Trump, said, hey, you've been attacking me lately. I've decided I don't have a path. I'm not going to run. I'd like for us to smooth things over. I don't want to be on your bad side. I want to help us defeat Biden. We'll take back the White House. I'd be honored to support you again. You had a great 4 years. You should have another 4. Then you know what Trump would have done is he would have said, okay, Ron, okay, I'm not going to attack you. You're not DeSanctimonious. You're come up with some other nickname for him. Same thing he did with Ted Cruz when he was campaigning with him for Senate. And it's like everything would be fine. And that could probably still happen if they were smart, but they're not smart. They're very dumb people around him. So, yeah, he's the puppet the way Biden's the puppet. He's the puppet of these clowns that are in my comments section 24 hours a day. Oh, man. Oh, man. Sam Madsen says, what's the Dem ceiling in Arizona, Georgia? Probably like a couple of points. They're not like running away with either, even if Trump's the nominee. Eunice Akamoto, thank you for the $20. Eunice, thank you. Jean Waffle H2 pieces. I think Spanberger is very beatable. She's a shill for 3-digit corrupt organization. And the fact she won in 2022 is embarrassing. Yeah, Vega wasn't like the worst candidate objectively in the world. I mean, that's just a kind of like what do you say? Kind of a testament to her connection she has and how much resources that she was able to use on that election. Nick H is worst to simp on Twitter. I don't know. There's so many. I think it's about to be Pushaw. I mean, you don't come for GOP Josh and get away with it, okay? You do not come for GOP Josh and walk away with a victory, politically speaking. You don't do that. You get hit with the GOP Josh curse, actually. You're going after a 16-year-old kid who cares a lot about his country, and he gets a lot of hate for his looks or whatever. This is a 16-year-old husky dude on Twitter. He's like, he cares a lot about Trump and the movement. And I think that Trump should invite him to Mar-a-Lago. I think that'd be a good thing because, I mean, he's kind of like the poster child for how bad the DeSantis and how insufferable they are. And it's like, oh, well, he attacked first. He's fair game. Like, personally, like, yeah, if you're like a high level influencer and you're like 16, 17, like if you're Greta Thunberg and she attacks Trump, yeah, Trump has the right to attack back, of course. But if you're a serious political campaign, you're a lead advisor, some account with not that many followers, and like, I think he had like 2,000 net followers at the time compared to, his following. Like, you're attacking this guy who like has a vague insult at your looks or whatever, and you're going to hit back and waste resources hitting back on that. And like, then replies to him defending yourself. Like, yeah, serious campaign, by the way, serious political campaign. Yeah. Tell me about it. Ridiculous. I look forward to them losing because they deserve to lose because they're just insufferable people by and large in this campaign. By and large. Ryan Terrence says your Trump impressions on point. I honestly don't think it is. I'm just kind of going out here, spitballing, just seeing what sticks. But I mean, like, it is true. Meatball run. It's like, I don't really think it's all that good, but it is what it is. Everybody has their own take on the Trump impression. And I personally think mine is pretty mid, but is what it is. Is what it is. We're 2 hours in. We'll go to regular chat for a little bit, for about 5 minutes, and we'll end the stream. So it is what it is, guys. We're going to win this thing, the primary. Hopefully we win the general. And I'm more confident with Trump than I am with DeSantis for the general. I really am. I really do. And everybody agrees. Let's see. What are people in chat saying? Let's see. People, okay. Yeah, no. Nothing worth reading right now. Rep noticed me. You've been noticed. Yay. Commander video. Day one moderator since I think probably mid 2019. Like, we built up this channel, and a lot of the people that watch are early adopters. Not all of them, of course, because we still do keep adding people to the mix, even though some people are bitter and drop off. They're more than welcome to. Like I said, leave, fine, bye-bye. But like I said, you're welcome back with open arms at any time. But, I told you so. I told you so. Didn't DeSantis say he was? Yeah, exactly. Well, he said the Clinton position. And you're running as a Republican on legal abortion after you try to say that Trump is weak on abortion. That's a campaign ender. Like, if you're a DeSantis supporter, how can you support this guy knowing how fake he is? He is fake. He's literally fake. There's no other way to chalk it up. I'm sorry. Like, oh, you said this positive thing about him as a governor. It doesn't matter. You're taking him in the national level. It's not DeSantis versus Charlie Crist anymore, or DeSantis versus Doug Ducey. It is DeSantis versus Trump. And Trump has flaws and had flaws during his presidency, but I don't think I ever got the vibe that this man was legitimately fake. And you talk about all the people on the left that called him a con artist, and they were wrong. DeSantis is somebody who is legitimately behaving like a con artist and behaving no differently than Hillary Clinton, saying that she has a private and a public position on everything. This should infuriate you as somebody who liked Ron DeSantis as governor, that this is what he's spending his time and his money. Many people in the chat have donated to him for his gubernatorial bid, or the first one, doing. That's what your money's going towards. It's going towards something fake. I mean, I don't know how people can get behind him after that. I mean, that's kind of like that's a massive L. I understand you have to pivot. I do, but don't sit back here and pretend like you're the staunch pro-lifer and then say, oh, safe, legal, and rare. Trump doesn't do that either. Like, Trump is usually consistent, and he doesn't need to pivot that much because he's just, this guy that can resonate to a wide audience. And yeah, he has a lot of haters, but a lot of them are probably eating their crow right now every time they go to the grocery store. Oh, what the midterms? Like, okay, Trump-backed candidates didn't do well in 2017 and 2019 in like deep red states like Alabama. Roy Moore wasn't really pro that, like Trump backed him in the general technically, but Alabama, Kentucky, Louisiana, and they got drilled in red states, deep red states, but Trump won them all overwhelmingly in 2020. Yeah, midterms usually have the blowback on the, party that presides over the White House, but I mean, still, the fact is that Trump has changed the landscape of politics. The Dem turnout apparatus has changed the landscape of politics, and you got to go chase our ballots in our places, and we can't bank on, oh, Trump supports somebody, so his base is going to show up, especially when they engage in interference and take Trump off of social media so he's not making a wave before the midterms. And he did a lot less rallies in 2022 than he did in 2018. So I don't know, guys. These people lie about everything. They lie about literally everything. That's a North Carolina yeah, there's a poll that came out that had Mark Robinson in the lead, but we're supposed to believe that Mark Robinson is uneluctable, but all the other candidates were losing to Josh Stein. And polls are not everything, but I mean, that's not the only poll to show it. And Robinson's just a great guy. He's a guy that he's controversial, but he knows how to pick his battles and talks about issues that matter to people. And he's a genuine guy. He's not somebody that's going to sit up there and say, I have a private and a public position on everything like Hillary Clinton and Ron DeSantis. So take your pick. Well, even if you want to say he was innocent, which again, it hasn't really been either way. There have been like more legitimate claims that were made against him like earlier in his career that were not like the ones that were brought forth by the media. But even so, he was still a very, very weak candidate overall. And Mo Brooks at the time was the best option, but then he's for Lincoln Project now because, oh, I was lazy, can't campaign to save my life, and then Blumf unendorses me, so I have to hate Blumf. Yeah, okay. Talk about the bitter cultists that care about personality and stuff like that. It's on the DeSantis camp, so is what it is. Let's see. I hate when DeSantis people come in here and like use my real name and like think it's like intimidating me. It's like the whole intimidating doxing factor. It's like, I don't care. You're not special. You're not like making me tremble in fear. just because you do that. It's like my own fans will do that from time to time. You're just lazy. You just don't have an effective attack line. Same people that hit my comments or my replies on Twitter and call me Red Beagle, like that's an insult or something. First of all, Beagle is the best dog breed, objectively speaking. Second of all, like you could do Red Seagull. You could do Red Eagle with like the L as capital. I give these people options here. They're not taking them. They're just that bad. Would I support DeSantis if he wins the primary? He's not winning the primary. If he does, I mean, I guess I'd take the bet. I'll take the bet, actually. I'll do that as a bet because he's not winning the primary. I'll support the nominee, but I'm confident the nominee is going to be Donald J. Trump. But it's like my own fans poke fun at my name, like my channel name or my brand better than the people that are paid to attack my brand. Like, come on. Seriously? Unbelievable. All right, we're going to end it. So like the stream, hit that subscribe button, and also join the website if you want to be on my next stream. The first stream, we'll do it for $5 members as well, but future streams are likely going to be for $10 and up, but we're going to do a Discord call-in live stream. Next live stream, we're going to vet people, but I'd like some DeSantis people in the mix as well. If we could get them so we could have a debate, I want a discussion, good faith, but I'm not going to hold back from obvious nonsense because I'm not going to do that at this point. So make sure you join the website, redeaglepolitics.com, $5 a month. You get access to all my exclusive videos, Discord, newsletter, etc. It's well worth it. And you guys get to be on the next live stream. So make sure you guys sign up. And I will see you guys in the next live stream. Red Eagle out.